The first thing the man did after returning before the apocalypse, he immediately injected himself with a massive dose of zombie virus. The girl beside him laughed and called him stupid, but only Chun-Bai truly understood the situation. In a few days, the apocalyptic mutation would begin. 80% of living creatures would turn into man-eating monsters. Those who survived would unlock various innate talents, and gods who control cosmic rules would descend to Earth. Yet those gods could not directly intervene in earthly affairs. So the gods used protection as an excuse to have humans serve their interests. Chun-Bai had no intention of clinging to these so-called gods. What he wanted was revenge on the Dark Mother Goddess, Hellrose. In his past life, Chun-Bai had endured countless hardships to finally join Hellrose's ranks. Even though he completed hundreds of missions diligently, a single failure led Hellrose to mercilessly erase him. All of it happened because he was at the very bottom of the world. Facing death, he was unwilling to accept it and swore that if given another chance, he would make her feel the daily humiliation he once suffered. What he never expected was the hourglass he had accidentally found during the trial actually reversed time back to before the apocalypse began. Now, there were 7 days left before the trial started. Remembering Hellrose's insults from his previous life, Chun-Bai vowed this time to crush her under his feet. But in his last life, he had awakened the worst talent, an E-rank virus ability. Now his goal was to upgrade that talent. He had to activate it before the apocalypse arrived. So after a quick disguise, he headed straight to a top-tier hospital nearby. As expected, there were already patients infected with the zombie virus in the hospital. Although the doctors hadn't figured out what was going on, Chun-Bai knew clearly. The man had already turned into a zombie. Without hesitation, he pulled out a large syringe and stabbed it into the zombie's body, drawing out a full tube of the zombie virus. When he returned to his dorm, he found it empty. He smirked to himself. Luck was on his side. But as he stared at the virus-filled syringe, hesitation crept in. If this activation method was wrong, he might die miserably right here. Remembering the humiliation from his past life, Chun-Bai gritted his teeth and plunged the needle straight into his artery. As the virus began to take hold, he knew this was his last chance. The unbearable pain soon made him lose consciousness. In his dream, he saw Hellrose once again. She smiled and offered him another sincere invitation. But this time, Chun-Bai wouldn't fall for it again. "Get the hell away from me," he spat coldly. The next morning, his roommates who had stayed up all night at the internet cafe finally returned. When they saw Chun-Bai's twisted face turning toward them, all three nearly wet themselves in terror. Driven by zombie instincts, Chun-Bai began to move toward them. Only when someone shouted his name did he suddenly snap out of the zombie state. Excited, he rushed straight into the bathroom. Looking into the mirror, he realized he had won the gamble. His talent had successfully evolved. The only question left was what rank this new power would reach. As he pondered, a voice of cosmic will suddenly echoed in his mind. He had been chosen as a vanguard, able to awaken his talent before others when the apocalypse hit. Chun-Bai hurriedly opened the system interface. To his shock, the talent he awakened was an SSS rank, Virus Sovereign. This was the strongest virus lineage talent, able to absorb, modify, and even create new viruses. For now, his power was limited, only short-range virus absorption. He needed massive amounts of virus to grow stronger. With that in mind, he headed back to the nearby hospital. On arrival, he saw people running for their lives. Turns out the hospital had already erupted in the first wave of the zombie crisis. Seeing him stand frozen, an older man barked at him to run. Suddenly Chun-Bai remembered. Before the last apocalypse, 3 strange incidents happened in Jiang City. One of them was the quarantined hospital. If his guess was right, this was likely that sealed hospital. For Chun-Bai, this was a perfect combat instance to farm virus points and level up his talent. He quickly dispatched a zombie with ease. He immediately used his exclusive skill, Virus Leech, and gained 1 virus point. The thrill of leveling up washed over him. He switched to hunt mode. None of you would escape. Meanwhile, on the hospital's 4th floor, in a restroom, a man cowered in terror behind the stall door. He knew the door wouldn't hold for long, so he turned around and looked at the head nurse he'd been chasing for 2.5 years without success. "I've chased you forever with no luck. Might as well enjoy myself before I die," he muttered. At that moment, a zombie smashed through the door. In a dire instant, Lu Feng grabbed the girl, shoved her toward the zombie, then jumped out the window beside them. Meanwhile, Chunbai had cleared all zombies on floors 1 through 3. On the 4th floor, he found a nurse lying on the floor, apparently infected only moments ago, and she might still be saved. Knowing the army would lock the place down as soon as word spread, he needed someone who knew the hospital to lead the way. He immediately used his skill, Virus Leech, on the girl, trying to purge the virus and stop the zombification. To his surprise, the method actually pulled her back from the edge of becoming a corpse. The first thing she did upon waking was thank him. It turned out she hadn't entirely lost awareness during the transformation. Since she was conscious, the priority was to have her take him to the lab where the virus samples were stored. Guided by the girl, he quickly reached the testing lab and secured a large batch of virus samples. He then mixed every virus sample there into one compound. Frenetically using Virus Leech, he absorbed dozens of strains and gained a huge number of enhancement points. Some strains that were lethal to normal people doubled the points he received. He spent all those points strengthening the zombie virus. The system soon notified him that his zombie strain could now evolve, and it offered 4 evolution branches. Among them, the Blacklight virus promised the biggest boost to his power. It would not only double his self-healing, but also grant him a devouring evolution. At that moment, a zombie approached. Before the girl could react, he had already lunged forward and grabbed the creature by the throat. His speed and strength were now far greater than before. He began testing the devouring ability gained from evolution. In a matter of moments, the entire zombie was devoured by him. As the black tendrils retracted into his body, he immediately felt some of his stamina return. The sight left Su Xin visibly terrified, but she quickly pulled herself together and took a deep breath. She told him she trusted he wouldn't harm her and promised to keep his secret. He gave his name, Chunbai, and learned hers, Su Xin. The next second, gunfire suddenly rang out inside the hospital, when it looked like the army was already moving to seal the building. To avoid being taken into quarantine, he grabbed Su Xin and headed for the rooftop. Unexpectedly, a mutated zombie dropped down from above. With no time to dodge, it latched onto his arm. He wasn't angry. If anything, he was thrilled. Absorbing this mutant would make his Blacklight virus much stronger. Facing the mutant that struck first, he launched himself off the ground and evaded the brutal attack. He followed with a rear kick that smashed into the zombie's skull. But as he readied to land, the zombie spun and threw a punch. Luckily, his speed had increased dramatically, allowing him to narrowly avoid the killing blow. He quickly devoured another zombie to replenish his energy, then unleashed a full power punch using his Blacklight virus-devouring ability against the mutant. To his surprise, the mutant's body was unusually tough. His full-strength strike barely left a shallow scar. Worse, it enraged the mutant. Chunbai knew that further delay would be disastrous. He needed a plan, fast. Suddenly, Su Xin called out to him. She tossed a fire axe his way. With the weapon in hand, he quickly broke through the mutant zombie's defenses. The fight instantly became easier, and he moved with fluid precision. Finally, he swung the axe across its neck in a clean cut. But to his shock, even that strike wasn't enough to kill it. The mutant slammed him hard against the wall. Su Xin gasped, her face full of worry. Yet Chunbai was grinning in excitement. The mutant was trying to tear him in half. By the time the creature realized something was wrong, it was already too late. In the next moment, countless black tendrils erupted from Chunbai's abdomen. Before the mutant could react, the tendrils wrapped around its entire body. The virus surged through the tendrils and into Chunbai's body. After devouring the mutant completely, his Blacklight virus evolved once again. This time, he even gained the mutant's bone claw skill. It seemed his chosen evolution path was indeed the right one. But then, a squad of armed soldiers surrounded them. Chunbai ignored their warning shots completely. In the next instant, he grabbed Su Xin into his arms and charged straight through the hail of bullets. Thanks to the Blacklight virus's insane regeneration, ordinary rounds couldn't even scratch him. Moments later, guided by Su Xin, he returned to her home. As soon as they entered, Su Xin insisted on tending to his wounds. Even though Chanbai told her he had already healed, she refused to take his word for it. When Su Xin saw his chiseled 8-pack abs, her cheeks instantly flushed red. After surviving decades in the apocalypse, Chunbai could easily tell that Su Xin had feelings for him. Considering he had just saved her life, he knew that if he made the first move, she wouldn't resist. Soon, the two gave in to their impulses, and by the time they stopped, dawn was breaking. The next morning, as he went out to buy breakfast, he suddenly got a call from Su Xin saying a woman named Song Ziqiang was looking for him. Song Ziqiang, the queen of Jiang City. Her daughter, Song Gu, was one of Chunbai's admirers. Since he hadn't replied to her messages, the mother herself had come searching. But the fact that Song Ziqiang managed to find Su Xian's home meant she had discovered something. As one of the most powerful figures on both sides of the law, Song Ziqiang had awakened an A-rank ability after the apocalypse began, building her own force to unify Jiang City and becoming a true queen. In his past life, Chunbai could only look up to her, but now, having seized the advantage, he thought perhaps he could make her serve him. Soon after, he met Song Ziqiang with his men. Without wasting time, he asked her directly why she was looking for him. Song Ziqiang stepped forward and tugged lightly at his collar. With a sly smile, she said, "I just wanted to see what kind of man could make my daughter obsessed." Chunbai saw right through her and replied coldly, "I don't like beating around the bush." Song Ziqiang chuckled, "Then I'll be direct. Be mine. If you like Song Ge, I don't mind you being my son-in-law either." Her words left Chunbai stunned. "I don't see why you need to win me over," he said flatly. She smiled faintly. "Because I saw your performance at the hospital. Anyone would want to recruit a man like that." The word hospital made Chunbai's eyes narrow in shock. He had destroyed all the surveillance footage there. So how could she have seen it? As Song Ziqiang explained, he finally understood. One of her people had been at the hospital by coincidence and recorded his entire battle. Song Ziqiang also mentioned that among the survivors rescued from the hospital, she had found Su Xian's co-worker, Lu Feng. Hearing that name made Chunbai freeze. Just the night before, Su Xian had told him that Lu Feng was the one who tried to assault her in the hospital restroom, and even shoved her toward a zombie. As Su Xian was now his woman, Chunbai naturally intended to deal with that scum himself. Song Ziqiang said that if he agreed to work under her, she would tell him where Lu Feng was hiding. Chunbai chuckled. "Looks like you're underestimating me, Aunt Song. If you truly understood my strength, you'd be the one wanting to work for me." As he spoke, he activated his newest skill, Bone Claws. Song Ziqiang's eyes widened in shock. Is that a mutation of the zombie virus?" Chunbai smirked. "So, what if you became mine instead?" Regaining her composure, Song Ziqiang sneered. "Those claws might impress some, but not me. Besides, you already have that pretty young nurse. Why would you want an old woman like me?" Chunbai brushed his hand against her delicate face, smiling faintly. A woman this beautiful. How could anyone not be tempted? He then deliberately revealed part of what he knew about the coming apocalypse. Hearing that, Song Ziqiang stopped hesitating. She proposed an alliance, offering her resources in exchange for his information. Then she leaned closer, whispering softly, "Honestly, I've been waiting for a man who could conquer me, but you still have a long way to go." Suddenly, gunshots echoed from outside. Song Ziqiang frowned. "Last night, the Jiang City military negotiated with me. They took several warehouses to store live zombies from the hospital. Those shots, the cold storage must have gone wrong." Chunbai fell silent in thought. Zombies shouldn't be active in low temperatures, but in extreme conditions, mutation rates could spike dramatically. He suddenly remembered the second of Jiang City's 3 strange incidents, the suburban explosion. Could this be where it all began? With that thought, Chunbai told Song Ziqiang they should go check it out together. His heart raced with anticipation. What kind of mutant zombie would it be this time? Meanwhile, on the other side, a gigantic zombie burst through the cold storage wall. Regular firearms had almost no effect on it. As the situation spiraled out of control, Song Ziqiang suddenly stepped forward and ordered her people to stop firing and fall back. Commander Zhao looked puzzled, unsure what she meant. Song Ziqiang calmly explained that their weapons couldn't possibly harm the creature. Continuing the fight would just mean throwing their lives away. At that moment, Lu Li, cornered and terrified, looked utterly hopeless. Fortunately, Chunbai appeared just in time and pulled her out of danger. He was stunned. The zombie's strength had grown terrifyingly high. A casual grab nearly dislocated his arm. He couldn't fight it head-on. Using his superior speed, he began darting around, keeping the monster off balance. The hulking mass of flesh soon grew dizzy and disoriented from his movement. Commander Zhao stared in disbelief. Did you raise a monster? But Song Ziqiang only smiled faintly. No, he's my partner. Chunbai now stood atop the cold storage racks piled with meat. He unleashed his blacklight virus's devouring evolution. In an instant, all the meat beneath his feet was absorbed completely. As the energy surged through his body, the blacklight virus evolved once again. His stamina returned, and his strength increased even further. Chunbai released his bone claws and lunged at the massive zombie for a finishing blow. A streak of purple lightning flashed across the air. He struck the creature right at its weak point. Without pause, he unleashed his devouring tendrils once more. As the blacklight tendrils drained the virus from the zombie's body, a surge of energy flooded into him. Watching this eerie scene, Commander Zhao became certain Chunbai was no longer human. He decided to take this chance to eliminate both monsters at once. But just as he reached for his comms to call for missile support, Song Ziqiang stopped him from behind. If you don't want to die, she warned coldly, don't do anything stupid. 2.5 minutes later, Chunbai had completely devoured the flesh titan. The human troops surrounded him from all sides. It turned out that Commander Zhao and Song Ziqiang had made a deal. If Chunbai didn't harm anyone, they wouldn't open fire. The system chimed. This devouring granted him 500 virus points and unlocked a new skill, virus injection. His blacklight virus power had increased dramatically. In addition to the sharp bone claw form, it evolved a new strength-based form, the heavy hammer. But the greatest prize was the meat core. This rare material could not only forge powerful gear, but also be used to construct a living flesh wall, an unbeatable tool for building a fortress in the apocalypse. At that moment, Song Ziqiang approached Chunbai. She introduced the woman he had just rescued, Lu Li. Lu Li, a well-known journalist and online influencer in Jiang City, was someone he already recognized. She was the one who had secretly filmed him at the hospital. Hearing that, Lu Li's eyes lit up with excitement and gratitude. You saved me twice, she said. Suddenly, Commander Zhao spoke up. Commander Huang from military wants you to report everything you know. The mention of Huang Xingqiu made Chunbai's face darken instantly. In his previous life, after the trials began, Huang Xingqiu had gathered awakened individuals and used them like slaves. Chunbai had once believed in Huang's so-called greater good, fighting desperately for him, yet he could barely fill his stomach. Those who dared to resist were branded as traitors and executed. In the end, Chunbai had no choice but to flee Jiang City and go into hiding. Sensing the change in Chunbai's expression, Song Ziqiang volunteered to handle the matter. Commander Zhao tried to guilt-trip Chunbai with talk of civic duty. Song Ziqiang shot back. You're just a junior commander. Who are you to lecture us? Under her pressure, Zhao fell silent. A subordinate rushed in. The quarantine survivors were rioting. Chunbai asked if Lu Feng was among them. He was, and he was leading the chaos. Lu Feng was soon brought in. The fool still thought his deputy director father had pulled strings for him. Chunbai stepped closer and patted Lu Feng's shoulder. Then he used virus injection, planting a small dose of zombie virus in him. Stunned, Lu Feng stared blankly. Chunbai leaned in and whispered, Su Xan said in bed last night she wanted to kill you. He stepped back and announced, Lu Feng is mutating. As expected, Lu Feng charged forward in a rage. A heartbeat later, his pupils tightened and reason collapsed. The virus took over. He transformed into a zombie on the spot. Chunbai switched to the heavy hammer form. One crushing blow ended Lu Feng. Feeling the surge of power, Chunbai was satisfied with the evolution's effect. He nodded to Song Ziqiang. Nice work. I'll share some intel when we're back. She stepped closer, a hint of regret in her tone. Being just partners isn't enough. Is it too late for me to be yours? Depends on your value and performance, Chunbai replied. Before long, he was in Song Ziqiang's Ferrari, heading to her place. En route, he opened the system to review the loot from the Flesh Titan. Two skill books had dropped: Bloodthirsty Rage and Muscle Augmentation. Their rank was low, not great for him now, but perfect for building a faction. He'd also picked up 6 gold coins, just enough to open a group chat feature. Shunbai planned to use this opportunity to begin his layout, to build a faction and recruit other early awakeners like himself, forming strong ties before the trials began. He named the group chat number 001 Chatroom, marking the rebirth of his future empire, White Emperor City. And one day, even her Loros, the so-called goddess, would crawl at his feet. Soon after, they arrived at Song Ziqiang's private villa. Shunbai shared key intel about the early phase of the apocalypse, information she could use to prepare and gain a head start when chaos arrived. But Song Ziqiang still wasn't satisfied. She looked at him seriously and asked, "What must I do to become yours?" Shunbai replied calmly, 2 conditions. First, I don't accept weak followers. Second, I require absolute loyalty, like that of a trained hound. Song Ziqiang froze at his words. By ability, she was unmatched. By wealth and power, she reigned supreme in Jiang City. Yet Shunbai only smirked. When the apocalypse comes, new rules will govern the world. Everything you have now will mean nothing. The thought of her and her daughter becoming playthings in that new world made her hesitate. "Then tell me," she asked softly, "what's the difference between being your loyal dog and being someone else's toy?" Shunbai's gaze was steady as he answered, "The difference is simple. I'll give you a stage to rule on. Because I'll always be stronger than you, I'll never need to cage you." Hearing his words, Song Ziqiang finally let go of her last defense. She knelt on one knee, bowing her head in complete submission. Seeing the former queen of Jiang City kneeling before him, Shunbai felt a rush of excitement. He could barely resist the urge to test her obedience himself. Just then, Song Ziqiang's phone rang. She had already sent someone to summon her daughter, Song-gu, home. At that very moment, Song-gu, who had been looking for Shunbai, called to ask what was going on. When she heard Shunbai's voice over the line, her tone shifted in shock. She anxiously asked about her mother. Shunbai replied calmly, "Your mother's eating. She's busy. Come home. There's something important." Song-gu scolded him for ignoring her messages for days and told him to stay put until she got back. Before she could finish, he hung up. Furious, Song-gu swore that one day she'd make him kneel at her feet. Meanwhile, Song Ziqiang looked at him sincerely and asked that he protect her daughter when the apocalypse arrived. Shunbai smirked. "If you work hard enough, I might consider it." Hearing that, Song Ziqiang showed no resentment. Instead, she bowed slightly and said she would do her best. Later, in a secret warehouse on the outskirts of Jiang City, Song-gu grumbled, "This is insane. I can't believe Mom actually buys into this." But Song Ziqiang's tone was stern. "When we arrive, don't talk, just watch." With Song Ziqiang's help, they searched every place in Jiang City rumored to harbor zombies. Yet they still couldn't find the zombie slaughterhouse, the third of the city's mysterious events. Shunbai began to suspect that someone was deliberately collecting zombies. Even the military only dared to keep a dozen at most. His curiosity grew. Who would be bold enough to gather every zombie and monster in the region? Soon, they found the answer: a remote warehouse in the suburbs. As they forced open the massive doors, a thunderous roar echoed out. Countless zombies poured forth like a raging tide. Facing the oncoming horde, Shunbai stood motionless, perfectly calm. When the first zombie came within 2 meters, he moved like lightning and kicked the creature straight into the ground. Watching the scene, Su Exine and Song-gu felt their stomachs churn in disgust. Right after, Shunbai activated his skill, Virus Absorption. In just a few seconds, every zombie in the warehouse had been drained dry. The system notified, over 300 kills, title earned, Zombie Hunter. All attributes +5 and bonus +5% damage to zombies. After collecting over 500 virus points, Shunbai realized he could now exchange them for Serum Blueprint. That discovery thrilled him. Even Awakened One still suffered from zombie virus contamination. Now that he possessed the serum formula, he finally had the capital to build a stronger faction. He then ordered Song Ziqiang to call everyone in, commanded each of them to slay at least one zombie. Only Shunbai knew the truth. Before the trial begins, killing a zombie with a cold weapon reduces mutation risk drastically. killing one barehanded without injury guarantees full immunity. The next moment, he lifted a zombie by the neck. Let's see your skills. One each. Who's first? Hearing this, Song Ziqiang's bodyguard, Lung Shuang, volunteered first. She immediately launched an attack on the zombie. As expected of the queen of Jiangqing's personal guard, with a single strike, she took down the zombie with ease. Chunbai nodded in satisfaction. Fast, clean, and precise, a promising fighter. Next was Song Ziqiang herself. With the aid of her weapon, she lacked technique, but still managed to crush the zombie's skull without suspense. Chunbai frowned slightly. Your strength's lacking, too many finishing blows. Against a horde, that'll get you killed. When Su Xian's turn came, her small frame made her fall under the zombie's attack. Yet using her knowledge of human anatomy, she barely managed a counterkill. Finally, it was Song Ji's turn, but she was so terrified that she actually wet herself. Despite Song Ziqiang's comfort, Song Gu shook her head. She couldn't do it. Chunbai sighed in disappointment. Can't even start? You wet yourself before the fight. How could someone like that survive the trial? He then called Song Ziqiang over from her daughter's side, told her to investigate where the zombies in Jiangsheng were gathering. Song Ziqiang looked worriedly at her daughter. But what about Song Gu? We can't cure the virus. The next second, Chunbai handed her a formula sheet. Seeing it was the zombie virus serum recipe, Song Ziqiang was stunned. But the steps seemed complicated. Chunbai had expected that. Just place the materials on the formula. It'll generate automatically. That's the value of alchemical blueprints. Hearing that, Song Ziqiang was overjoyed. I'll follow your orders and keep it safe. After giving all instructions, Chunbai pulled out his phone to check the Pioneer post from 2 days ago. As expected, most netizens thought he was joking. Looking at the mocking comments, Chunbai's lips twitched slightly. Suddenly, a private message caught Chunbai's attention. So it wasn't for nothing. Someone with early awakening had noticed his post. The sender introduced himself as Han Xiao, an S-rank mental controller. Chunbai immediately added him to the number 001 chat group. To his surprise, Han Xiao also mentioned another early awakener, Shuichuan. In Chunbai's previous life, Shuichuan had risen to Emperor tier, one of the strongest beings on Earth. Recruiting her now would be a massive gain. Meanwhile, Song Ziqiang ordered Lu Li to investigate other zombie movements around Jiang City. Soon, Lu Li discovered that the city lord was behind it all, collecting zombies and shipping them secretly to containers at the docks. But as she waited for her contact, several mutilated bodies suddenly fell before her. No need to wait, a voice sneered. Your little friends came to join you. A man stepped from the shadows, grinning. I've always liked cute girls like you. Lu Li's heart froze. She's been found. At the same time, another awakener joined Chunbai's group, a man named Lu Huai. He asked about talent classifications, and to Chunbai's shock, his awakening was SS rank Inwood physique. Just then, hurried footsteps echoed in the hall, breaking his thoughts. Song Ziqiang burst in, panic on her face. Something's happened. Lu Li found the intel, she said breathlessly, but she's been captured. The enemy wants to negotiate with me. Chunbai's tone went cold. If they can contact you, doesn't that mean Lu Li exposed your name? Song Ziqiang trembled, sweat dripping down her neck. She dropped to one knee and swore. Lu Li would never betray me. The problem must be with her subordinates. Chunbai nodded slightly. Good, then I'll bring her back myself. At the dockside warehouse, Xing Meng lounged in a chair, watching Lu Li struggle against her restraints. Miss Lu Li, he said, smirking, you really don't know what's good for you. I've spared you for Song Ziqiang's sake. If she joins me, you'll live and serve under me. But if she refuses, his grin widened, you'll both become my playthings. He lifted a glass of wine and whispered darkly, come now, sweetheart, drink with me, or I'll give you a different kind of thrill. Just as despair filled Lu Li's eyes, a new sound cut through the air, the sharp click of a knife slicing steak. Then came a calm, cold voice. Forcing a woman to drink? That's not very gentlemanly. The moment Chunbai appeared, Xing Meng froze. When did this guy even sit there? Chunbai ignored his stunned look and walked straight toward Lu Li. Unsure of Chunbai's strength, Xing Meng instinctively stepped back. He quickly regained his composure and sneered. So you're one of Song Ziqiang's men? Getting this close without me noticing. Clearly you're an awakener too. Chunbai smiled faintly. He's here to take her home. Then he loosened the ropes around Lu Li's wrists. Go wait in the car, he said. Song Ziqiang's outside. Xing Ming's eyes widened. So Song Ziqiang is already yours? Chunbai gave a calm nod. Xing Ming smirked. Interesting. Taming the proud queen of Jiang City. Looks like you've got some tricks. He raised his chin proudly. I already control the city lord, you have the queen, and only the army commander remains. Help me rule Jiang City, and you'll be my right hand. Chunbai let out a short, cold laugh. You're not worthy. Xing Ming stiffened, clearly not expecting such blunt rejection. He suddenly hurled his wine glass to the ground. He grinned viciously. Don't say I didn't warn you. My abilities S rank. Stand against me, and you die. Chunbai, however, replied casually. Using living people to make zombies for power. Monsters like you should die sooner rather than later. And you expect my backing? What a joke. His talent is SSS rank. On hearing that, Xing Ming immediately activated his talent, Slaughter Enhancement. His power transfers a portion of a killed target's attributes to himself. Kill more, grow stronger. Chunbai thought in surprise. Chunbai's own absurdly strong ability was only S rank. If Xing Ming's talent is truly SSS, wouldn't he become a god on the spot? Chunbai was stunned to realize Xing Ming's talent was an infinite growth combat type. Interesting. Seeing Chunbai completely ignore him, Xing Ming lunged at Chunbai with a proud grin. Hope the stats you add me after you die satisfy me. In the next second, Xing Ming's sudden attack was easily blocked by Chunbai's claw form. Seeing this, Xing Ming assumed Chunbai had a shape-shifting ability. Excited, he instantly activated his skill Slaughter Rage. Chunbai thought to himself that the guy hadn't fully revealed his power. Before understanding it, he needed to stay cautious. Suddenly, Xing Ming lunged again from midair. Chunbai switched from claw form to hammer form. He met the violent strike head-on. After sending Xing Ming flying, Chunbai quickly switched back to claws, ready to land another hit. But unexpectedly, his opponent counterattacked again. Chunbai swung his hammer once more, but Xing Ming blocked it with ease. Xing Ming sneered. So this is an SSS rank talent? Not that impressive. You sure you can fight, weakling? Chunbai smiled. My power's been active this whole time. You're just too dumb to notice. Xing Ming, confused, thought he was bluffing. The next moment, Xing Ming dashed in and sent Chunbai flying. Your stats are all lower than mine. In front of absolute power, you're nothing but. Before he could finish, he coughed up blood violently. System alerts flashed. Multiple viral infections detected, including the deadly HIV strain. Watching the stunned Xing Ming, Chunbai smirked. You got a tough body, huh? Took this long for the virus to kick in. How's it feel to catch so many at once? Xing Ming snapped and charged at him in rage. But in that state, he was no match. One strike pierced straight through his body. At the same time, Chunbai's Devour skill activated. Let's hope your talent doesn't disappoint me. Sure enough, the system confirmed that the Blacklight virus had reached its first awakening. It also unlocked a new effect. After devouring a target, Chunbai could glimpse their memories and possibly acquire one of their skills. He was very pleased. He then picked up Xing Ming's dropped gear for appraisal. Clearly, Xing Ming had slain more than one mutant zombie. He even carried a C-rank blueprint, proof of high luck stats. But now, everything belonged to Chunbai. After settling the fight, Chunbai recalled everything since his return to the past. He'd gained plenty, and even tamed the once untouchable queen of Jiangxing. Boss, please get in the car. The final few days before the apocalypse needed careful planning. Back at the villa, all of Chunbai's assigned tasks had been completed. Lu Li had gathered population data for nearby areas, vital for post-apocalypse cleanup. Su Xin had finished stockpiling supplies. Finally, Chunbai sent an announcement in the Pioneer chat group about the trial's arrival time. The pioneers received it and waited quietly for the moment to come. Some were eager, some anxious, and others thrilled. As time ticked by, Chunbai called everyone to the window to witness what was coming. The calm, peaceful scenery would soon become nothing but history. A 10-second countdown began to echo. Nearby, Songgu trembled in fear. Song Ziqiang and Su Xin, however, stood confident and composed. 3 seconds remaining. That familiar, oppressive aura filled the air again. The apocalypse trial had officially begun. The surviving humans would become evolvers. The rest, most of them, would either be killed by other invading races or end up as zombies. Meanwhile, spatial cracks started to appear in the skies above Blue Star. Chunbai stood by the window, quietly watching it all unfold. Suddenly, the system's voice echoed. Hourglass of time, master recognized. Initiating binding. Chunbai's eyes narrowed. Not good. Song Ziqiong and the others are still here. No one can know about this hourglass. Just as he was about to speak, he realized, to his shock, that time itself had stopped for everyone but him. Even a crashing plane froze midair. The hourglass of time began to glow. A surge of violet light poured into Chunbai's body. Binding complete. A panel appeared before him, revealing an unexpected life-saving skill: save and load states. Such a powerful ability with only a 1-hour cooldown. As time resumed, Song Ziqiong approached. "Did you want to say something just now? Or did I mishear?" Chunbai smiled faintly. "No mistake. Check the villa's security immediately. Nights after the trial are dangerous. Stay alert. At dawn, we start clearing the area." Morning arrived quickly. As expected, the villa was surrounded by zombies. Seeing this, Song Ziqiong activated her S-rank talent, Amethyst Eyes, then used her ability, Crystal Insight. It allowed her to view enemy stats and weak points. In an instant, she wiped out every zombie nearby. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lung Shuang activated her own talent, Path of the Assassin. With her talent activated, Lung Shuang fought like a goddess of slaughter. Within seconds, dozens of zombies were cut down. Meanwhile, Nurse Su Xian awakened a B-rank talent, Rapid Regeneration, taking charge of treating injured survivors inside the villa. Everything seemed stable so far. No surprises, which eased Chunbai's mind. He quickly left the villa's defense to them. Then, relying on memories from his past life, he rushed toward Jiangxing University. In his previous life, a strange symbol had once appeared in the skies above the university. Only much later did he learn its true meaning, but by then it was too late. This time, he vowed not to miss the chance. Soon, he arrived inside the university grounds. This is it, he thought. The mark of the divine projection's descent. Without hesitation, he moved forward at full speed. Suddenly, a voice called out to him, "Handsome Evolver, wait a moment. At this early stage of the trial, strong ones like you are rare. I'm a merchant. Care to trade with me?" Hearing that, Chunbai's excitement surged. This was exactly what he'd hoped for. "It's an honor to trade with you. The benevolent, fair, generous, and mighty god of trade, Lord Redder." Redder smiled grandly, gifting him a token that granted a 20% discount in his divine marketplace. Chunbai could barely contain his joy. So this is the advantage of arriving early. In his past life, Redder would never have offered such generosity. Redder then revealed his wares: a Thunder Affinity Job Scroll and a sniper rifle imbued with the power of Death's Touch. Chunbai was stunned. He never expected that the powerful Thunderwalker Job Scroll from his past life was actually sold here. Unfortunately, he couldn't make the deal. He simply couldn't afford it yet. Redder closed the trading window. "Go earn some wealth, young man. I'll be waiting for our next deal." But the next second, Chunbai shifted the tone. "Though I can't afford your items right now, I know your true purpose here is investment." Redder chuckled. "Oh, you're quite the sharp one. Are you trying to get me to invest in you?" Chunbai spoke directly. "I heard you possess a treasure even the gods themselves desire. If you invested in me, you won't regret that decision." Redder leaned closer. "And why do you think you could bring me returns greater than that treasure's worth?" Chunbai immediately revealed his SSS rank talent. Redder's expression shifted, amused, intrigued. "Interesting, but I'm not ready to invest that treasure just yet." Instead, he offered Chunbai a challenge: to prove his worth through strength and growth. The system then popped up with Redder's investment quest, filling Chunbai with excitement. Redder tossed him a coin. "When you finish the task, use this coin to summon me. Don't make me wait too long." Chunbai accepted happily, then asked if he could at least see the treasure once. Redder nodded. The item was a Triple S dual-class scroll, allowing its user to hold 2 professions at once. Chunbai was completely blown away. "That's insane." After Redder departed, Chunbai opened the investment quest details. Reading the task info, he fell deep into thought. In his previous life, he'd never heard of any hidden realm appearing in Jiangxing University. Forget it, just find it first, he muttered. Meanwhile, inside the Jiangxing University gymnasium, a student was slammed hard to the floor. A burly man kept punching and kicking him relentlessly. He roared, threatening everyone to kneel and beg to become his slaves or die. Though covered in wounds, the students refused to yield. "Keep dreaming, you white pig," the foreign man shouted in rage. "None of you are getting out alive. I'll make sure you die slow." A blonde girl beside him tried to stop him, telling him he'd gone too far. He slapped her across the face, sending her flying several feet. "Shut up and get lost, bitch." Just then, the gym doors exploded open. The students turned toward the entrance in horror. "Foreigner, were you the one beating these students?" The man, Tom, barely replied, "Yeah, so what?" Before Chun Bai's figure vanished. In the next instant, he appeared right in front of Tom. "Since you admit it, then I'll send you straight to hell." Another thug lunged at Chun Bai immediately. In the terrified girl's eyes, Chun Bai calmly asked, "Is anyone here from the medical department? I need someone who knows the building to find something for me." The replies came, "Basketball majors, dance majors, no one from medicine." Then someone pointed to the foreign girl. "She's the only med student here." Chun Bai looked at her, and the girl trembled in fear, waving her hands. "I didn't hit anyone, I swear," she added quickly. "I may look white, but I've got an Asian heart, super Asian." Hearing that, everyone couldn't help but burst into laughter. Luckily, one of the girls stepped forward to explain that the foreign student had actually tried to stop the fight. After hearing the full story, Chun Bai told her to stay while letting the others go. He instructed them to head toward the Dongshan Villa district in Jiangxing, and I mentioned his name, someone that would take them in. Everyone hesitated, fear written across their faces. The city outside was crawling with zombies. Leaving now seemed like suicide. But Chun Bai calmly assured them that he had already cleared most of the streets. "If you can't face them now," he said, "then when they evolve later, you'll only die worse." The crowd was stunned into silence. Only the black-haired girl stepped forward to thank him. When the others were gone, the foreign girl looked at him in confusion. "Why did you keep only me here?" Then a daring thought flashed in her mind. "Wait, is he planning something?" Blushing, she said, "I know you Easter guys like foreign girls. Is that why you kept me? Just please don't hurt me, okay?" Chun Bai chuckled. "You're overthinking. I'm not interested in that. I just need someone from a medical department to help me find something." Hearing that, the foreign girl lowered her head in embarrassment. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I was too scared to hear what you said earlier." Then she added nervously, "But you misunderstood me. I'm not that kind of person. I can prove it." Chun Bai paused for a moment, then sighed. "No need. We have more important things to do." Her cheeks turned bright red as she mumbled that her legs felt weak and she needed a moment to rest. But Chun Bai was in a hurry to reach the medical school, so he simply told her to follow him. Before long, they arrived at the medical research building. The girl explained that on the third floor, there were dozens of labs filled with bacteria and virus samples. She also mentioned a hidden incinerator in the basement. Seeing the colorful vials of viruses inside the equipment, Chun Bai couldn't help but grin with excitement. Most were flu-type viruses used for experiments, but they offered a surprisingly high amount of virus points. Suddenly, a system window popped up. Influenza virus can be upgraded into a new active skill. Without hesitation, Chun Bai confirmed the upgrade. The new skill reduced all target stats and added the debuff sneeze, interrupting any chant, charge, or aim once triggered. Chun Bai felt a surge of joy. It was perfect, both weakening and disrupting enemies at once. He realized he had underestimated real-world viruses before, and from now on, he would prioritize upgrading them. The mission from the God of Trade was clearly no simple task, so Chun Bai decided to use all his remaining virus points to strengthen himself first. Soon, he unlocked 2 new passive skills: Wall Runner, allowing him to cling to any surface like Spider-Man, and Combat Focus, doubling his control over every muscle in his body. He decided to test his strength. In the next second, cracks spread across the entire wall. The girl stared in shock, thinking, "Good thing he didn't use that power on me earlier, or I'd be in orbit by now." It all made sense. With full muscle control, Even the smallest movement could unleash a devastating punch. When he turned back, he noticed the girl's blushing face and couldn't help feeling a little amused. Soon, he reached the cremation room, which turned out to be the entrance to a hidden dungeon. As he stepped inside, a system prompt appeared. Special instance, cleared to make it permanent. Fails after 48 hours if uncleared. No wonder he had never heard about it in his previous life. The monsters within began to stir. Chunbai immediately activated his claw form, ready to strike. In the next instant, a zombie with 8 legs lunged at him. He countered in one swift motion, taking it down instantly. Then another one on the ceiling started charging an attack. Fortunately, Chunbai spotted it in time and narrowly dodged. He quickly identified its weakness, deadly power, but painfully slow. "Die already," he said coldly. After slaying the creature, the system announced, plus 1,000 EXP. Chunbai couldn't help but grin. This dungeon's rewards were insane. "All right," he muttered, "time to go all out." He went on a rampage, tearing through every zombie in sight as his EXP skyrocketed. Before long, he reached level 4. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed ahead. As the smoke cleared, a grotesque giant zombie emerged from the shadows. For some reason, that mass of rotting flesh made Chunbai uneasy. Before it could fully form, he launched an attack. But to his surprise, the creature blocked his strongest strike with ease. Seeing the situation, Chunbai immediately cast the skill Purifier's Flu. But it had no effect at all. Instead, the mutant slammed him 2 meters through the air. The wounds it had just taken healed in an instant. Facing the charging biomutant, Chunbai launched a fierce counterattack. Yet no matter how hard he hit, the creature's body kept regenerating at insane speed. Instead of fear, excitement flickered in Chunbai's eyes. Since his rebirth, no enemy had ever pushed him this far. "Good, let's see how long you can keep regenerating." He quickly activated Status Recall, instantly healing all his own injuries. "Show me if you're truly immortal," he shouted. 2.5 hours later, the mutant's regeneration began to slow. "What's wrong? Running out of steam already." Hours passed. The creature lay motionless on the ground, barely twitching. Minutes later, it finally turned into a puddle of rotten flesh. No recovery this time. "That was fun," Chunbai said with a smirk, "but it's over." He stomped down hard, crushing the biomutant completely. System prompt, biomutant defeated, plus 10,000 EXP. Chunbai reached level 5, and the dungeon transformed into a permanent instance. Another message popped up. Upload page strategy video? Option, hide identity or appearance. Chunbai hid his face and confirmed upload without hesitation. Meanwhile, back at the Dongshan Villa district, Su Xin was helping Song Ziqiang recover her stamina. Suddenly, Song Ziqiang froze, eyes widening in surprise. It turned out Chunbai had posted an announcement in the Evolvers group, a full video of his dungeon run. Song Ziqiang and the others immediately clicked to watch it. At the same time, every other Evolver in the group started watching too. After seeing the footage, Lung Shuang was stunned. Chunbai's attack speed was so fast, it could only be seen in slow motion. The other Evolvers, after watching the video, began to look up to Chunbai with admiration. Some of the women in the group even started to develop feelings for him. In moments, the chat exploded with messages and excitement. Meanwhile, Chunbai finished absorbing the biomutant completely. He gained 300 Blacklight virus evolution points. Suddenly, a system prompt appeared. Blacklight virus evolving. Passive ability activated. Chunbai acquired the mutant's skill, cell regeneration. The ability allowed him to restore his body using stamina or energy, and even regrow lost limbs. He couldn't help grinning. This was exactly the kind of power he had dreamed of. Then he opened the loot interface to check the drops. The first item was a biomutant job scroll, which could boost strength by absorbing other life forms, though overuse could cause genetic mutation. The second was a potion called Genetic Essence, capable of greatly enhancing physical attributes. "Nice one," he said with a grin, drinking it down in one gulp. His stats permanently increased. As for the dirty-looking piece of hide, the system identified it as Skin of the Faceless. After reading the description, Chunbai wasn't sure if it changed the user's body or the armor itself. He decided to study it later. Checking through the loot from earlier mobs, he found only some common leather gear and a skill book named Cell Activation. It looked powerful, but was useless to someone with cell regeneration. Perfect. I can trade this with someone in the chat group, he muttered. Grabbing a piece of the boss's remains, he prepared to turn it in. Can't wait to see Lito's face, Chunbai smirked. He'll never believe I finished the mission this fast. But then he frowned slightly. Lito was no ordinary wandering merchant. If he came here, there must be a deeper reason. Chunbai recalled how Lito had called him an unexpected find and told him to prove himself, meaning Lito's real goal was likely this special dungeon. But everything Chunbai had gained so far seemed worthless to someone like Lito. Did I overlook something? He wondered. Determined to find out, he headed toward the one area he hadn't explored yet, the inside of the cremation chamber. At first glance, nothing looked unusual. Then, as he reached the end of the pipe, his hand brushed against the wall. A golden face suddenly appeared before his eyes. Instinctively, Chunbai threw a punch. But the mask didn't break. Instead, it glowed with brilliant golden light. System prompt. Source of the cremation anomaly detected. Chunbai froze in shock. Even the will of the universe can't identify it. This must be an SSS tier artifact. So that's it, he muttered. Lito was after this from the start. After securing the item, Chunbai stepped out of the cremation chamber. The blonde foreign girl rushed over excitedly. Bye. You're amazing. I just watched your dungeon video. Wait, you have coins? Chunbai asked. She smiled proudly. Of course. I got a few last hits while helping kill zombies. Curious, Chunbai opened his own stats to check. System, 100 coins required to unlock storage space. He wanted to unlock it because the storage was protected by the universal will, a place undetectable by any means, the safest vault for rare items. As they stepped outside, the girl asked, Are we going back to the Dongshan villa? Chunbai shook his head. Too dangerous at night. Let's find shelter nearby. Then how about that luxury hotel up ahead? She suggested. It's tall and safe. A few minutes later, they arrived at a couple's hotel. To his surprise, as soon as they entered, the girl smirked and slipped into character. Come on, isn't this what you came here for? With a teasing grin, Chunbai admitted he did want to see that, but added, I don't like what you're wearing. The blonde blushed deeply. Then, I'll change into something else. She tried on several different outfits, but none of them seemed to please him. Finally, she put on a catgirl costume with soft animal ears. Chunbai smiled in satisfaction. Perfect. Tonight, you'll be my obedient little pet. Morning soon came. Chunbai opened the storage system and placed the golden mask safely inside. All right, he said quietly, time for the next phase. Then he took out the coin Lito had given him and began the summoning ritual. In his previous life, there was a famous saying, when dealing with Lito, emotion itself is part of the currency. It meant that Lito would sometimes adjust his rewards depending on the mood or attitude of his trading partner. But that only applied if the trader was valuable enough. A moment later, Lito appeared in a shimmer of light. Didn't expect you to call me so soon, he said with a smile. That means you've finished the mission, kid. Chunbai nodded and handed him part of the monster's remains. Lito frowned slightly. This thing looks like it's been dead for a while. You finished last night, didn't you? Why didn't you summon me immediately? I thought you were eager for that scroll. Chunbai tilted his head and spoke calmly. I've always respected you, my lord. But why did you hide the dungeon's true difficulty? I only learned it was a nightmare tier after entering. Without my special means, I'd already be dead. Lito chuckled softly. That was part of the test. I can't give great treasures to someone who can't handle the unexpected. His tone carried both reason and indifference. Chunbai sighed. Understood. Seeing the young man's low spirits, Lito paused, as if realizing he might have gone a bit too far. Lito smiled faintly and said, This time, you may choose your own reward. The next mission will be your final test. How does that sound? Hearing this, Chunbai's heart leapt with joy. Thank you for your generosity and understanding, Lord Lito. A variety of treasures appeared before him, shimmering in golden light. After careful thought, Chunbai selected a return scroll. Lito nodded approvingly. A wise choice. Now then, let's begin the final stage. System notification. Lito has issued an SSS tier mission. Final reward. 2 SSS tier job scrolls. Sweat ran down Chunbai's neck. Even gods weren't born with SSS-tier professions. Leto gave a mischievous grin. These are my finest treasures. They deserve a worthy master, otherwise I'd never part with them. Chunbai gave a wry smile and accepted the mission. Meanwhile, back at the Dongshan Villa area, a mutated rat prowled in the shadows. In mere seconds, it destroyed 2 elite squads. Lacking the strength to deal with it, Song Ziqiang and her team could only watch from a distance. Suddenly, Long Shuang's eyes widened. She had sensed danger. In an instant, she lunged forward, pushing Song Ziqiang out of harm's way. The mutant rat had already spotted them. Before they could react, it launched another furious assault. But just then, Chunbai arrived in time, landing a single devastating kick that sent the creature crashing into the wall, dead on impact. When Song Ziqiang saw that it was Chunbai who had arrived, her face lit up with relief and joy. Chunbai immediately ordered Long Shuang to gather people to clean up the battlefield and compensate the families of those who had fallen. Song Ziqiang then accompanied him back to the villa to report the details. Upon returning to the Dongshan villa, Chunbai learned from Lu Li's report that a swarm of mutant rats had appeared nearby, destroying 6 warehouses and leaving over 100 casualties. He nodded calmly. You've done enough. Go rest now. I'll take care of the remaining rats myself. Song Ziqiang hesitated before saying softly, but if we all rest, won't you have no one by your side to assist you? She then suggested, there's someone I'd like to recommend, Qin Lingyu. She's a former lawyer we rescued earlier. She can help you draft the base's rules and is willing to serve under you. Chunbai nodded, instructing everyone else to leave while Qin Lingyu stayed behind. The woman blushed slightly and said, please tell me what you'd like me to do. Chunbai smiled faintly. I've heard lawyers are very skilled with their words. Let's see if that's true. Qin Lingyu obeyed, demonstrating her persuasive talents, and more. Chunbai seemed quite satisfied, and she, in turn, thanked him sincerely for the reward. Afterwards, Chunbai called her to the window to discuss something serious, the structure of their community's rules. I need you to draft different sets of regulations depending on each district's purpose, he explained. Qin Lingyu smiled. No problem. Any other requests? Chunbai chuckled. Not really, though I am curious. What's your awakened ability? Blushing, she replied. It's focus amplification. It heightens all senses and speeds up thinking. But during activation, I can't perceive the outside world. They spent the rest of the night analyzing and testing her ability until sunrise. Following the trail of mutant rats from yesterday, Chunbai finally located their nest. He led his team straight to the sewers. Although he could easily handle the cleanup alone, he wanted to train his people to forge true strength within the Villa District. Everyone ready? He asked calmly. Ready, my lord, the group shouted in unison. Hearing even the men call him that, Chunbai smirked awkwardly. Just call me White Emperor from now on. With that, he ripped the iron gate open with his bare hands. System notification. Special quest triggered. Parasite of the sewers. Everyone received the same mission. Eliminate all mutant rats and their king, and uncover the source of the mutation. Yet before they could go far, the swarm attacked. Chunbai immediately shifted into his claw and hammer forms, tearing through the horde like a storm. Within seconds, every rat in sight lay dead. 16 tunnels cleared. They had to be near the end. Suddenly, someone shouted, "There's another one ahead." Confidently, Song Ziqiang stepped forward to engage. Chunbai reminded her, "Use your detection skill." She activated her ability, then froze in shock. "Wait, this one's a level 7 boss. Its stats are completely hidden." Chunbai lunged forward before she could react. "White Emperor, be careful," she cried. But her fear was unnecessary. With a single slash of his claw, Chunbai annihilated the mutant Rat King. System message: loot obtained, plague boots, LV.1 armor. The item reduced poison damage and was part of the plague set, though low level now. Once the full set was assembled, its power would multiply several times over. Only one step remained: uncovering the true cause of the mutation. As they reached the deepest section of the sewer, Chunbai suddenly raised his hand, signaling the team to stop. His virus counter was spiking wildly, climbing faster by the second. The viral energy he was absorbing wasn't from Earth. It was alien, unstable, and powerful enough to endanger even advanced evolvers. So it's here, Chunbai muttered, his eyes narrowing. The source of the mutation. He ordered Song Ziqiang and the others to fall back, choosing to move forward alone into the unknown. Before long, Chunbai located the source of the mutation. To his surprise, it wasn't a monster, but a long-decayed corpse, judging by the concentration of plague energy around it. The true source came from the scroll clenched tightly in the corpse's hand. He pulled the scroll free and carefully unrolled it. The words Cult of the Plague were written across it, a name he had never encountered in his past life. Without hesitation, Chunbai activated virus absorption. Once he absorbed every strain sealed within, his power would evolve to a whole new level. But in the next moment, his arm began to mutate, and the surrounding viruses surged toward him uncontrollably. A strange mark burned itself into the center of his palm. System notification. You have obtained the Mark of Plague, a sigil belonging to the core members of the Plague Cult. It allows you to sense others who bear the same mark. Mission complete. Parasite of the Sewers. System update. New SSS rank quest unlocked. The Plague Cult. Quest info. Those bearing the Mark of Plague may ascend as the foretold god, but must first locate the cult's remaining members and undergo their trials. Chunbai's eyes lit up. If he could become the Plague God, he'd finally have the strength to stand against Hellrose herself. System notice. Infernal Dungeon. Plague Sewers. Now generating. Estimated completion time. 30 days. Harder than the Nightmare Furnace. Chunbai murmured. Fine. I'll be ready when it's time. Meanwhile, on the other side, Song Ziqiang's Dongshan Sewer Dungeon had fully formed. It allowed 3 entries per day, perfect for lower-level training. She immediately organized the teams, assigning everyone to rotate through the dungeon for leveling. Before long, the players were assembled. Chunbai instructed them to form squads of 4 to 8 and enter in waves. Song Ziqiang's group went in with him, but he made it clear, until they could handle enemies on their own, he wouldn't intervene. Understood. Everyone answered in unison. Then, Chunbai added them to the Evolver chat group. When a message, invite from Evolver number 001, appeared, Song Ziqiang was stunned. She never imagined Chunbai was the very first Evolver. It's just a number, he said calmly. Doesn't mean anything special. But Song Gu frowned. Then why didn't I get an invite? Chunbai replied, deadpan. Because I didn't invite you. Only loyal and capable people enter my chat. A girl who peed herself from fear of zombies doesn't qualify. Remembering that humiliating moment, Song Ji's face flushed red. She clenched her fists. She'd prove she was worthy. Seeing her determination, Chunbai nodded. Fine, pick a weapon. Show me how much you've grown. Soon, they stepped into the dungeon. I can handle this myself, Song Gu declared confidently. Curious, Chunbai asked about her and Lu Li's abilities. Mine's a B-rank skill, Lu Li said. Phantom Mirage creates illusions from imagination, but no physical form. And mine's C-rank, Song Gu added. Genius Mind boosts experience and proficiency gain by 50%. Chunbai noted that Song Gu was a fast growth type, but for now, her combat value was still below Lu Li's illusion ability. Soon, her fight was over. She had taken down 3 mutant rats all by herself. Not bad, Chunbai said with a smirk. Since you worked so hard to earn a spot in my harem, I'll make an exception. Song Ji's face flushed bright red. Who said I want to join your harem? I just wanted to prove my strength. Ah, that's a shame then, Chunbai replied casually. I respect your decision. Panicking, Song Gu turned her head away, mumbling shyly, I didn't say I don't want to, yet he kept looking at her like she was forcing herself. Song Gu nearly exploded with frustration. Thankfully, Song Ziqiang stepped in, smiling awkwardly. She really does want to join. She only got upset because you introduced someone else last night. Chunbai chuckled. All right, then, for your mother's sake, welcome aboard. And just like that, Song Gu officially joined the private group chat, the harem channel. Overjoyed, she insisted on killing a few more rats to celebrate. Chunbai couldn't help but laugh. What a tsundere little princess. Song Ziqiang gently stroked his cheek. Don't worry, she said softly. She just talks tough. Once we're back at the villa, she'll be calling you daddy. After clearing the sewer dungeon, the team returned safely. Chunbai handed several newly obtained items to Song Ziqiang. Use these wisely, he instructed. It's time to establish our base economy and trade system. Song Ziqiang was stunned. With this flesh wall material, they could build a defense far stronger and more intimidating than before. And the remaining supplies could easily make them the undisputed rulers of Jiangxing. But when she noticed an item labeled body enhancement gear, her face turned slightly red. Chunbai raised an eyebrow, teasingly. What's wrong? Doesn't seem as important as the others. Song Ziqiang quickly leaned closer. Of course it is. Any gear that pleases you, master, is the most valuable of all. I don't really understand women's outfits, Chunbai chuckled. So surprise me. She smiled mysteriously. The real surprise won't come from me. I told you, tonight, little Gu is going to meet her daddy. As Chunbai immersed himself in the surprises brought by the mother and daughter. Somewhere else, inside a luxurious hotel, Lu Huai stared at her screen. She realized Chunbai had uploaded another dungeon clear video, while many awakeners hadn't even seen a dungeon yet. Without hesitation, she paid 10 copper coins and started watching. But seeing the beautiful women gathered around him, she couldn't help feeling a sting of jealousy. If only I could have his personal training, she whispered. Across the network, other awakeners were in awe of Chunbai's absurd strength and impossible growth speed. Meanwhile, Chunbai himself had just finished another intense, satisfying battle. Chunbai was preparing to re-enter the sewer dungeon. His goal, to farm the remaining parts of the plague set. Suddenly, a private message popped up from a group member named Meng Meng. She wanted his personal guidance in combat. If you want my advice, Chunbai replied, I'll need to know you better. Send me your talent info. If you don't want to reveal it, send your stats instead, but stats don't tell me much. No need to hide, she answered. I'll show you my talent now. Chunbai frowned slightly. He had never heard of anyone named Meng Meng in his past life. But anyone in this private chat had to be among the first awakeners, so her power should be significant. To his surprise, her talent was labeled SSS class, infinite growth. A supernatural talent like that. And she was completely unknown in my last life, he thought. She must have fallen early. Explain the details, Chunbai said. Meng Meng described her first ability, Dream Butterfly, which lets her enter a dream world identical to reality, and even observe or infiltrate the dreams of others. She could even bring items out from within the dream. Her second skill, Dream Weave, allows her to alter anything inside that dream world, though her current control was limited. The third, Shared Dream, lets her create a dream totem and invite others into her world. Chunbai was stunned. If her body stays hidden, she's basically invincible. Meng Meng then invited him to step into her dream world for training. Chunbai refused instantly. In her dream, he'd have no control, no safety net. She countered, then I'll sign an Evolver contract with you. But Chunbai knew the truth. A valid Evolver contract required at least 10 gold coins. If she had that kind of power, why would she need my help? Meng Meng calmly explained that monsters she killed in her dreams also died in reality, and she could tweak drop rates through Dreamweave. So, she said, I've got plenty of gold. Meng Meng wanted to improve her combat skills because of a deep, nagging premonition. If she didn't get stronger soon, she'd die. Chunbai agreed. A power that didn't boost physical stats at all was a terrifying weakness. So he accepted her request. A talent that strong, it had to be recruited. He lay down on the bed, waiting for the dream to come. In the next moment, he found himself inside a strange room. A pink-haired lowly smiled brightly. Hello, Mr. Group Leader. I'm Meng Meng, the one who just signed a contract with you. Chunbai chuckled. Just call me Bai. So, this is your dream world? Doesn't seem very fit for combat training. Meng Meng grinned. I knew you'd say that. There's a cleared-out gym ahead. Let's go there. As they walked out, the entire city glimmered under a swarm of glowing butterflies. Your dream world is massive, Chunbai muttered in awe. It's not really mine, Meng Meng explained. Dream worlds exist independently. I can only enter and reshape them. Got it, he said. Then let's head to the gym. Moments later, they arrived at a pitch-dark arena. Meng Meng snapped her fingers, playfully dramatic. Lights on. The darkness dissolved, flooding the gym with soft white light. Chunbai gestured. No dream powers. Come at me, full strength. Let's see where you stand. Meng Meng smiled slyly. In my dream, My stats match my mental power. Be careful, Mr. Bai. Go all out, he replied calmly. She shouted and charged forward, swinging a fierce punch. Chunbai tilted his body slightly, dodging with ease. Your balance is off. You can hit, but not recover. Her face went red. Furious, she started swinging wildly. Chunbai smirked. What is this turtle fist? Chunbai kept dodging while coaching Meng Meng. First, control your balance and make your punches smooth and precise. Second, lock onto your target. Don't just swing blindly. Watch your opponent's movements carefully. After a while, he understood her level and told her to focus on those basics, saying that with her stats, she should be able to react properly. Meng Meng lowered her head, disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm just too weak. Chunbai quickly comforted her. No need to apologize. Just keep training. Hearing that, Meng Meng regained her confidence. I'll work even harder. 7 days later, Song Ziqiang reported that all the new rules in Dongshan had been posted, and the settlement was finally running smoothly. Chunbai then said he'd leave the management to them and would depart early the next morning. Hearing that, Song Ziqiang looked reluctant. Leaving already? I thought you'd stay a few more days. Your plague suit is still missing one piece. Chunbai replied that there was no time to wait, as greater treasures and opportunities awaited outside. But in the next moment, Song Ziqiang suddenly hugged him. Then come back soon, or your White Emperor Palace will drown without you. Chunbai smiled. Call everyone together. Tonight, we'll figure out how to seal that leak once and for all. They spent the whole night discussing. The next morning, Chunbai was getting ready to leave. Lung Shuang came to report that someone was causing trouble at the foothill settlement. Hearing that, Chunbai felt puzzled. Why come to me for this? Can't it be handled by the rules? Sorry, we've got them under control, but they said they're your classmates, so? On hearing that, Chunbai told Lung Shuang to take him over. He soon arrived at the foothill, and the students below shouted excitedly, Look, Chunbai is here. From Lung Shuang, he learned the issue. They were unhappy about the 1 copper daily fee, but still expected free security and use of the settlement. Seeing him, Li Jie shouted in excitement. It's me, Chunbai, your high school classmate. Chunbai recognized him and explained the rule wasn't harsh. 1 copper a day can be earned by killing a zombie. If you can't, you can work for the settlement. So why gather and cause trouble here? Li Jie replied that it wasn't about the money. In the apocalypse, we must look out for each other. You have resources now. You should help everyone get through this. Cancel the rule, and everyone will thank you. Tired of arguing, Chunbai issued a blunt order. Everyone listen up. This is the rule. If you can't accept it, get out now. 3 minutes to leave, or you'll be dealt with. Chunbai ordered Lung Shuang to start the countdown. Li Jie sneered, clearly convinced Chunbai wouldn't dare kill him. With arrogance, he shouted, I'm doing this for everyone's good. They'll support and thank me. One of the older security guards couldn't take it anymore. Cut the crap. 1 copper isn't a burden for anyone here. Those who refuse to pay are either useless or just plain selfish. The other guards joined in mockingly. You can't even kill 1 zombie a day. What does that make you? If you can't earn 1 copper, come be my watchdog. I'll pay you 2. Li Jie gritted his teeth in rage. Fine, I'm leaving. I wouldn't stay in this damned place anyway. Chunbai, don't get cocky. You'll regret throwing me out. Chunbai told him to wait, and Li Jie thought he was having second thoughts. But in the next second, Chunbai struck at his kidney with lightning speed. The crowd froze and dropped to their knees, terrified. None of them expected Chunbai to actually attack. Chunbai flicked the blood from his claws. You were right. Letting a resentful loser walk away after showing off? Yeah, that'd make me regret it. Lung Shuang then reminded him. 1 minute left. Will you leave on your own, or do I make you? One of the men immediately fell to his knees, begging for mercy. Please, I'll follow the rules and accept any punishment. Just give me one more chance. Seeing they were reasonable, Chunbai wasn't entirely unforgiving. He said 5 copper a day, and things would return to normal after a month. The others quickly agreed, and he handed the remaining matters over to Lung Shuang. Suddenly, Meng Meng messaged him, complaining how hard it is to level up in real life, and promising she'd come find him when she got stronger. Chunbai replied that he was in Jiangcheng. On hearing that, she excitedly said she was in Wuchang, very close. Chunbai then asked if she'd follow him and offered to pick her up. Remembering that in his past life, he also received an S-rank job near Wuchang, Chunbai decided to head there first. Meanwhile, in a hotel in Jiangcheng, a group was trapped inside because of a special zombie. The 5 companions who had gone down earlier were taken out in an instant, and now their food supplies were nearly gone. Suddenly, the girl motioned everyone to look out the window. A figure darted between the high-rises. Jiang Luoping thought it was a new type of special zombie and tried to pull the curtains shut. The girl told him to wait. She used her ability and discovered it wasn't a zombie at all, but a human. At the same time, Chunbai spotted the special zombie from the rooftop. It turned out to be a tyrant, a lucky find, since he needed a tyrant's bone for a weapon blueprint. To preserve the bone intact, he chose to behead it outright. The scene was witnessed by the people upstairs. Seeing his hands shift into claws, Jiang Luoping became even more convinced Chunbai was not entirely human. Suddenly, Wei Xia realized the battle was already over, and that person looked oddly familiar. Meanwhile, Chunbai was absorbing the tyrant's remains. The system notified him that he had defeated the tyrant. In the next instant, he unlocked a new blacklight virus form shield. He also gained a new ability, muscle reinforcement, which could strengthen any part of his body. At that moment, Wei Xia suddenly shouted, "Chunbai, is that you?" Chunbai heard someone calling his name. He looked up, but saw nothing above. It turned out Jiang Luoping had stopped Wei Xia, scolding her. "How can you be sure that's really him? What if it's a monster in disguise?" Suddenly, a shadow flashed past the window. Chunbai called out, "Is someone in there? Did someone just call my name?" Hearing his voice, Wei Xia replied excitedly, "Chunbai, it's me. I'm Wei Xia." So, she was Miss Song's best friend. Hearing Song Ji's name, Wei Xia quickly asked, "How is she? Is she safe?" Chunbai told him he had built a settlement in the Dongshan Villa area with hundreds of survivors, and that Song Ziqian was managing it. So Song Gu was perfectly safe. Wei Xia's face lit up with joy. The others, however, thought Chunbai was bragging. After all, Song Ziqian was known as the Queen of Jiangcheng. Chunbai just smiled. "You'll see for yourselves when you get there." Suddenly, his college roommate Lin Qijing stepped out of a room, shouting excitedly, "Chunbai." 2 more roommates followed right behind him. Chunbai was surprised. "You guys? What are you doing here?" Lin Qijing explained that on the day the apocalypse hit, Jiang Luoping had gathered a bunch of students to help Wei the campus beauty run her murder mystery event. Zhao Mu added that he'd wanted to invite Chunbai too, but Li Feng said Chunbai was probably busy. After some small talk, Chunbai asked if there were many students from Jiang University there. "If you want, you can come to the settlement at Dongshan Villas. But we have a rule. Each person must pay 1 copper coin per day. Can you accept that?" Jiang Luoping quickly replied, "Of course. If that monster hadn't trapped us here, forget coppers. We could have earned gold by now. But the road there might be dangerous. Could you lead us?" Chunbai said he had other matters to handle and told them he'd only seen 1 tyrant on the way from Dongshan. Nothing else to worry about. Then he handed out some spare low-grade gear for self-defense, leaving everyone stunned. After explaining how to use the weapons, Chunbai said he had urgent business and had to leave. Not long after he jumped away, Mingming sent him a private message. She said someone in the group chat, username Your Han King, was venting and she thought her new ability might help him. Chunbai told her to summarize the situation directly. There was too much chatter in the group. The name, Your Han King, sounded familiar, probably Han Xiao. Meanwhile, in another hotel, a few people were preparing to head toward the settlement. Everyone turned toward the window again. They saw Chunbai had come back. Wei Xia quickly asked if something was wrong. Chunbai said he needed a room to handle some things. Zhao Mu told him to use his and Lin Qijing's room. They'd keep watch in the living room. Then Wei Xia stopped him. "Chunbai, do you know Song Ji's Evolver ID? I want to add her as a friend." After Chunbai gave it to her, the other 2 wanted to add him as well. But when he said 001, Qijing burst into laughter, completely not buying it. Zhao Mu just patted his shoulder. "Add him and you'll see." When Chunbai, number 001, accepted the friend request, Lin Qijing's jaw nearly hit the floor. After Chunbai returned to his room, Wei Xia's face suddenly turned red. The others asked what was wrong, but she said nothing and quietly walked away. Once outside, her mind was still spinning. During her chat with Song Gu, the girl had suddenly typed, "That's great. Now someone can call him daddy with me." Wei Shi's heart skipped. No way could she mean what I'm thinking. Together, as in, a conversation nearby, snapped her out of it. Li Feng was convincing Jiang Luoping not to trust Chunbai, saying his story was full of holes. Jiang Luoping, already doubtful, wavered even more. After all, Song Ziqiang managing his settlement sounded too absurd to believe. Wei Shi just sighed, speechless. Meanwhile, Chunbai entered the dream world. Meng Meng and the others have been waiting for some time. Han Xiao said excitedly, "Finally, I get to meet you, White Emperor. I knew you'd look awesome in person." Meng Meng immediately teased him for being such a flatterer. Another person stepped forward, introducing himself as Crow. His talent was SSS rank, embodiment of fear. Han Xiao then realized that among them, his S-rank mind control was actually the weakest. Chunbai smiled. "Your talent might be lacking, but your luck's good. If this had happened 2 days ago, Meng Meng couldn't have helped you. Back then, she could only pull us into the dream world at her own location. The ability to anchor the dream to your totem and let everyone appear at your place. That's something Meng Meng just learned yesterday." After some small talk, Chunbai told Han Xiao to explain why he'd been complaining in the group chat. Meng Meng couldn't hold 4 people in the dream world for long. Han Xiao said it was because of a troublesome personal quest. His S-rank exclusive quest was titled in the name of family. Soon, they reached the entrance portal of the Red Star Asylum instance. Han Xiao explained he'd entered once before, but quit quickly. The place was nightmare difficulty, level 5 to 12, and far beyond what he could handle alone. After quitting, the Cosmic Will kept warning him. Someone had noticed his presence and might take everything away, so waiting to level up wasn't an option. Hearing that, Chunbai already had an idea and immediately opened the portal. They stepped inside the instance. Not long after, a monster appeared and began to approach. Crow got excited and asked the others to wait. He wanted to test this one himself. In the next moment, his SSS rank talent embodiment of fear emerged. The monster orderly saw it and collapsed instantly in terror. The fear surge made the creature's heart pound violently. Crow snapped his fingers. Fear mode. Heart burst. In the next instant, the monster orderly's heart exploded. The group quipped that Crow's talent felt downright villainous. A D-rank skill dropped. Sonic Mind Burst. Since both Meng Meng and Han Xiao were mental-type talents, Chunbai told them to choose. Han Xiao declined, saying he already had something similar. Meng Meng then claimed the skill. She quickly learned Sonic Mind Burst. Chunbai asked her to try it, but she worried the damage radius was small while the sound was wide, which might draw every monster in the ward. Chunbai said that was fine. Luring them out was exactly the plan. Meng Meng began casting the skill. In moments, the once empty corridors flooded with monsters. Watching the scene, Chunbai couldn't help but chuckle. Not bad. This lure worked perfectly. Han Xiao panicked. There are way too many monsters in this instance. Even Crow, who could one-shot enemies, warned everyone, "Stay sharp, don't lose focus." Seeing the endless wave of monsters, Meng Meng looked worried. "Master, are you sure we can handle this many?" Chunbai smiled confidently. "Of course we can. Perfect chance to test out my newly upgraded skill." Encouraged by his words, Han Xiao regained his spirit. "If the guild master says it's fine, then let's go. Time to slaughter." He summoned a storm of floating blades. The knives whistled through the air, each one striking a monster's vital point with deadly precision. On the other side, Crow activated his support skill, and the ground turned pitch black. Darkness, annihilate. In seconds, countless dark tendrils tore through the monsters. At that moment, Meng Meng suddenly pulled out a rocket launcher from nowhere. The sight of the cute girl wielding such heavy firepower left the others completely stunned. Her dream crafting ability is insane. If she can make a rocket launcher, what's next? A freaking mecha? Meng Meng fired away happily, bombarding the horde in a storm of explosions. Crow turned around, noticing something off. Everyone else was fighting, using their skills, but Chunbai hadn't moved yet. In fact, he was charging up power. Since it was his first time using the skill, he hadn't expected the build-up to be this slow. It seemed full charge during combat would be difficult. With the others covering him, the charge finally completed. Chunbai raised both hands high and slammed them into the ground. Energy spike activate. The floor cracked open as countless black spikes erupted upward, impaling every monster in sight. Han Xiao froze in shock. He couldn't believe Chun Bai's attack could wipe out the entire horde in one blow. The three just stood there stunned. He killed them all with one skill. Just as Chun Bai was about to stand down, two monsters were still moving behind him. Han Xiao grew nervous. There are two left. Let me finish them. He summoned his knives and threw them forward. But Chun Bai easily intercepted the blades mid-air. Those two head nurse mini-bosses, he said calmly, are mine. Seeing his attack caught so effortlessly, Han Xiao was shaken. He hadn't realized the gap between them was that huge. Chun Bai then remembered his Devour Evolution ability. He could absorb an enemy to gain one of its skills and even access its memories. He hadn't used it much since obtaining it early in the apocalypse. But when he looked into the monster's memories, what he saw shocked him. Strange arcane markings covering a man's body. And nearby, a living person was bound to a cross, part of some grim ritual. The scene was dim, twisted, and filled with agonized screams echoing through the darkness. Suddenly, two figures appeared in the vision. Stay back. Please, don't come any closer. Mayor Kung Fu. Please calm down. Around them stood dozens of identical crosses. After a piercing scream, the vision shifted again. Driven mad already? How fragile. I was planning to offer you to my master, but it seems a broken mind will only serve as next month's sacrifice. The scene changed once more. Nurse Wang, don't be so upset. Everyone's just shaken after what happened to Nurse Kong. She was such a good person, and so beautiful. How could she suddenly go insane? Suddenly, a strange echo filled the air. An eerie voice repeating over and over, 16, 16. Based on the demonic sigil and that repeated number, Chun Bai's mind pieced something together. He remembered that in his past life, back when he was still a demon hunter, there had been rumors of a mental asylum in Modu linked to demonic rituals. Some said it could even summon a demon into the world. But by then, his level had long exceeded the dungeon's range. He had merely skimmed old posts about it on the Evolver's forum and moved on. Let's keep searching for clues to Han Zhao's quest, Chun Bai told the team. But stay sharp. No one splits up. He warned them further. There could be something powerful lurking here. 2.5 hours later, night had fallen. Every monster in the building seemed already drawn out. After searching 3 floors, they hadn't found a single one or any solid lead. The only constant hint was the number 16 showing up everywhere. Crow finally snapped. 16, 18, whatever. I just want to know why the dungeon boss hasn't shown up yet. Don't tell me it's too scared of the White Emperor to come out. From the dark corridor ahead came a cold, mocking voice. Such arrogance for someone so young. The group instantly shifted into combat stance. Who's there? Show yourself. From the depths of the uncanny darkness, a creature stepped forward. I am the director of Red Star Asylum, it intoned. And I am an envoy of the 16th demon of Solomon's 72, of the Jeffra faction. Only now did the group realize this was no mere monster, but a demon, an envoy of a powerful demon lord. Children, the creature sneered, stop pretending to be calm. Your only fate is to be offered to my master as sacrifices. If the girl proves loyal and bears offspring for my master, I may spare her life. Meng Meng snapped back in fury. You old freak, spare me. You want offspring? You go breed for your master yourself. You're just a lowly fiend made from humans, don't get cocky. If you're so tough, show us, stop babbling and fight. Suddenly, a wave of terrifying pressure slammed into them. Han Xiao and the others writhed in agony, collapsing to their knees, powerless. Even Meng Meng, who ruled the dream realm, could not resist. Chun Bai sensed immediate danger. This was the kind of mental-type demon he feared most, one that could continuously project psionic pressure. Though his own mental strength was decent, he lacked true psychic abilities. A war of attrition would be disastrous. He resolved to end it quickly and charged straight at the demon envoy. His fist struck the demon's abdomen with full force, but to no effect. The demon envoy, however, remained utterly unfazed and composed. In the next instant, the demon envoy unleashed his attack, Hellfire Inferno. The The distance was too close for Chun-Bai to dodge. He instantly shifted into shield form to block, startled that the demon had another trump card. The envoy grinned. Impressive. To withstand my hellfire. Few mortals could manage that. But you'll never break through my infernal flames. The longer you last, the more my psychic pressure will crush your mind. Chun-Bai's face tightened. He had to admit, he lacked a clear countermeasure. The demon laughed wildly. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Struggle, despair, feed my master with your screams. At that moment, Han Xiao suddenly smiled with confidence. A glowing barrier enveloped them all, and the crushing psychic force vanished. Meng Meng blurted out, "You had this kind of power and didn't use it earlier?" Han Xiao looked confused himself, realizing that when he released a bit of his own mental energy, the oppressive force simply disappeared. The demon envoy's expression twisted. "So, you're the Han bloodline, the blood of my master. Don't think that blood alone can save you. My hellfire can still burn you to ash." Han Xiao sneered. "Aren't you your master's dog? You dare attack his descendants? Careful, or your master might crush you like a bug." But the demon envoy only smirked. "The Han family betrayed our lord long ago. Killing you might even earn me his favor." The demon envoy once again prepared to unleash Hellfire Inferno, intent on turning Chun-Bai's team to ash. "Don't let him cast. Interrupt it now," someone shouted. But just as the envoy began to charge his attack, he suddenly sneezed, violently, breaking his own spell. The group blinked in confusion. "Old man, did you just catch a cold? Or is this some new demonic trick?" Only Chun-Bai knew what was happening. The activation's slower than expected. Seems his physique isn't bad for a low-tier demon. He strode toward the bewildered envoy, who demanded, "What did you do to me?" "Nothing special," Chun-Bai replied calmly. "Just a skill that makes the enemy sneeze non-stop, but I've upgraded it recently." The demon's face twisted in panic. The skill's called Viral Influenza, Pulmonary Infection. Once cast, the target enters Phase 1 within 1 second to 10 minutes, depending on physique. In Phase 1, all stats drop, 3 to 5 random debuffs apply, and all charge-based skills are disrupted by the sneeze effect. The demon envoy refused to believe it. Impossible. A demon cannot fall ill. At half vitality, Chun-Bai continued coldly. Comes Phase 2, 90% reduction in recovery rate, and progressive respiratory failure. Now frail and trembling, the envoy still couldn't accept it. A superior being defeated by disease? Moments later, he entered Phase 3, complete respiratory collapse. Chun-Bai looked down at the fallen demon and muttered, "Not bad at all. Turns out even demons need to breathe." Guess those virus points were well spent. The system chimed, boss defeated, Hell Apostle, Zhao Chonglinda. Chun-Bai turned to look at the group behind him. They were all on edge, covering their mouths and noses tightly with both hands. "What are you all doing?" he asked, puzzled. Seeing their terrified expressions, he sighed and explained, "Relax. As long as I don't activate it, you won't get infected." Hearing that, everyone finally exhaled in relief, taking deep breaths of fresh air. "White Emperor, that skill of yours is absolutely broken," one of them exclaimed. But only Chun-Bai knew the truth. The victory owed much to the demon's weak constitution. After all, there were plenty of creatures in the world that didn't even need to breathe. The skill wasn't invincible. Just then, the system displayed a completion notice, along with a prompt to upload dungeon clear video. Chun-Bai turned to Han Xiao. "How about your quest? Is it done?" Han Xiao checked his mission list, only to find it still incomplete, meaning the real clue was still hidden somewhere in the dungeon. "I'm thinking of posting the clear video," Chun-Bai said. "Anyone want to show their face and get famous?" "No thanks. Let's stay anonymous," everyone replied in unison. Even the usually boastful Han Xiao shook his head quickly. Low profile, low profile. Now hurry. Let's check what loot the boss dropped and find my quest clue." Before long, a new video appeared online. Evolver White Emperor leads team. Meng Meng, Han, and Crow to clear dungeon. Song Ziqiang and her group received the notification instantly, and Chun-Bai's old college friend saw it too. Among them, a man watched the footage with a faint, amused smile. Even though the faces in the video were blurred, those who knew him could tell at a glance. Those clawed hands were unmistakable. There was no doubt now. White Emperor was Chun-Bai. Wei Xia smirked. Well, why so quiet now? Weren't two of you just confidently explaining how Chunbai was a fraud? Li Feng coughed awkwardly. He's still in the hotel, right? Even if that's him, it only proves he's strong. Not that his so-called base is real. Jiang Luoping agreed. Exactly. If anything, that makes it worse. Think about it. Maybe he's feeding off the people he gathers at that base. That's how he's getting stronger. Wei Xia's face darkened. Li Feng, everyone can see what this is. You're bitter because he didn't share the loot with you. And you, Jiang Luoping, what's the point of talking tough when the truth's in front of you? She then pulled up another video and tossed it to them. Here, watch this for yourselves. As soon as they watched the video, everyone's faces froze in shock. What the hell is that thing? Who filmed this monster stuff? Someone exclaimed. Wei Xia calmly replied. It's from Songgu. She just sent it to me. Li Feng and Jiang Luoping looked utterly dumbfounded. On screen, Songgu beamed with pride. Behind me is the wall of flesh. It's our outer defense barrier. Don't worry, it only feeds on corpses. She then turned the camera toward daily life in the settlement, complaining with a laugh. Recording videos is expensive. I only bought 10 minutes, should be enough to show from the foot of the mountain to the top. Down here at the base, it's the busiest area. Everyone's welcome, but you need to pay 1 copper coin a day to stay. And if anyone causes trouble, we've got guards to handle it. Midway up, there's the residential zone for families. We're planning to add parks and recreation centers soon. And up there, that's the Villa District, my home. Not many people live here, but it's absolutely safe. Ordinary folks aren't allowed in. She then grinned at the camera. Wei Xia, when you come, you'll definitely stay up here. You said Chunbai hasn't made a move on you yet, but trust me, it's only a matter of time. With a mischievous smile, she added, Anyway, I'm heading out to grind a dungeon to boost my stats. Otherwise, when we're all together, we'll never be able to handle that big perv. Chunbai. Wei Xia's face flushed bright red as the others burst into laughter. One girl teased. So, did you ask Songgu how many women Chunbai actually has? Wei Xia could only cover her face, mortified. She really should have watched the whole video before sending it to everyone else. After watching the video, Li Feng's tone shifted instantly. Well, I guess it clears things up. Didn't expect Chunbai to be that powerful. What I said earlier, that was just hypothetical. Before he could finish, Jiang Luoping cut him off sharply. Wei Xia, you can't become Chunbai's woman. Wei Xia frowned. Excuse me? When did I ever say I wanted to be his woman? Jiang Luoping waved his hands nervously. That's not what I meant. He's too much of a player, surrounded by women all the time. You wouldn't like a guy like that. But me, I'm different. I'd only ever want you. Wei Xia immediately interrupted, clearly annoyed. Stop right there. Don't follow me with this nonsense again. Her voice turned cold. Jiang Luoping, whoever you want, or however many you want, has nothing to do with me. I turned you down before the apocalypse, and I'm turning you down again now. She ended it firmly. I don't like you. I never have. Meanwhile, on the other side of the dungeon, Chunbai was devouring the corpse of the fallen boss, Zhao Chonglin. Suddenly, a system message appeared. This creature possesses a unique demonic bloodline. Continue absorbing or expel. Realizing it was a corrupted gift from a demon lord to its servant, Chunbai didn't hesitate. He chose expel. The system responded, special species consumed. Blacklight virus evolution plus new ability unlocked. Hellfire body. The expelled bloodline condensed into a tangible item, bloodline core. The description read, contains traces of demonic blood. Consuming it grants a minor demonic bloodline. It was Chunbai's first time seeing an item like this. To his surprise, the expelled blood didn't vanish. It solidified into a tangible object. He turned to the others. So what loot did the boss drop? Han Xiao grinned from ear to ear. Huge drop. An A-rank scroll. Hell Envoy's vassal profession. And a level 1 skill book for Hellfire Inferno. Meng Meng laid out the rest. A piece of armor blueprint, a D-rank item called reading glasses, and a crafting plan. Hell's Call, Shepherd's Horn blueprint. The blueprint included a note. Once an S-rank material appears, no one can recreate an S-rank Shepherd's Horn again. Chunbai studied it, thinking pure demon horns? I know exactly where to find those. He then said calmly, I'll take the blueprint. The profession scroll goes to Han Xiao, since you've got demonic blood. The skill books for Meng Meng. And the equipment. Crow, that's yours. You earned it. The group cheered, clearly pleased. Perfect split. You're the best, White Emperor. Shenbai nodded. Good. Now, let's help Han Xiao finish his quest. Han Xiao bowed slightly. I appreciate everyone's help. His formality left the group momentarily speechless. Then they made their way to the director's office, where Han Xiao suspected the quest clue was hidden, unless the demon had a secret chamber. When Han Xiao pushed the door open, he froze, stunned by what he saw. A massive statue loomed before him, radiating a crushing, overwhelming aura. It was the 16th of Solomon's 72 pillars, the very master Zhao Chonglin had mentioned. The oppressive presence came from the fact that this demon, Jephthah, had once projected his essence into the statue itself. Chunbai studied it closely, thinking things are getting more interesting. I wonder if this place still hides the method to summon that demon. A century ago, a woman from the Han family fell in love with a demonic projection that had descended upon Blue Star. Since then, every generation of the Han family had birthed a pair of twins, one boy and one girl. The girl was destined to remain here forever, serving the demon. The boy, unaware of the truth, would go on to live an ordinary life. Over 10 years ago, Han Zhao's father, Han Yong, discovered this dark family legacy. To break the curse, and to spare his newborn daughter from a lifetime of servitude, he tried to kill her with his own hands. But Zhao Chonglin caught him in the act and stopped him. Han Yong's betrayal was reported to the Jephthah cult, and his bloodline was stripped away. The infant girl was taken by the cult and raised as their servant. Zhao Chonglin, in return for his loyalty, was granted demonic blood as a reward. Meng Meng finished reading the notes and said, "That's pretty much all of it. The rest is just his rambling, envy of the Han bloodline, curses at Han Yong, and some overblown oaths of loyalty." Upon hearing this, Han Xiao received his quest continuation notice. Meng Meng then noticed Chun by still studying the statue. "Master, what's wrong with it?" she asked. "There's definitely something," Chunbai replied calmly. He reached out and pulled a hidden lever on the statue. With a heavy boom, the wall behind the statue split open, revealing a secret passage leading underground. The group stared in shock, while Chunbai's lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. Chunbai led the team deeper into the hidden chamber. After about 2.5 minutes of walking, it felt like they descended several floors underground. "If I'm right," Chunbai said, "this should be where Zhao Chonglin summoned, or at least tried to commune with, the Jephthah cult's demon." At the end of the corridor, countless crucifixes filled the room. A dark ritual circle was etched into the ground, and the air was thick with the stench of blood. Chunbai stepped to the center, picked up an object resting on the sigil, and shared the data with the others. It was a Hellgate core. Description: requires the sacrifice of 16 lives, their blood and souls, to activate. Can summon a level 12 demon. Additional note: upon activation, dungeon difficulty will rise to Hell tier. Han Xiao stared in disbelief before noticing the level restriction. "Wait, so if we summon the demon and kill it, we'll be rich, right?" Someone blurted out excitedly. Chunbai just sighed. "I'm level 8. What about you?" Meng Meng, level 5. Crow, level 4. Han Xiao, level 3, almost 4. "Right," Chunbai said flatly. "Even if we did summon it, it would slaughter us instantly. We're under level 10, no classes, no proper gear. Where exactly do you get the confidence to fight a level 12 demon?" Han Xiao scratched his head awkwardly. "Well, we do have you, White Emperor." Chunbai shook his head. "Even for me, that's suicide. The gap between a demon and a low-tier devil is astronomical. Once we hit the level cap and gain our professions, we'll come back. Then count me in when that happens, boss." Crow said eagerly. With a faint smile, the team left the chamber. The dungeon finally cleared. Han Xiao suddenly spoke up, his tone serious. "There's something I can't figure out. If I'm a demon's descendant and I have a sister, did all that appear after the apocalypse? Or has it always existed, just hidden until now?" Chunbai replied thoughtfully, "I'm not sure either. But one thing's certain, it does exist now." Then he asked, "Why the sudden question? Did you remember something about your father before the world ended?" Han Xiao shook his head. We weren't close. To me, he was just an ordinary man. Nothing remarkable about him. The only strange thing was he didn't become a normal zombie. Crow frowned. You mean a demon-type zombie? Han Xiao denied it immediately. No, nothing like that. He turned into something covered in purple and green fungal blotches. A plague zombie. Those marks gave me an intense sense of danger. I couldn't even get close. It was then I was forced to awaken my telekinetic power. Guess that was his final lesson to me. Plague zombie, Chunbai murmured, interest flickering in his eyes. Han Xiao continued. It probably had something to do with his workplace. He worked at a chemical plant, and the others there had the same infection marks. Chunbai's expression turned sharp. That plant might be tied to the SSS tier mission, Cult of the Plague Lord. I'll be heading to Modus soon, he added. When I do, you're coming with me. Show me that place. Crow then raised his hand. Boss, I've got some issues with my abilities too. Chunbai nodded. Good. Let's use this time to share everything we've learned. Skills, data, anything useful. He was clearly satisfied with the dungeon run. Not only had they cleared it smoothly, but they'd uncovered a lead connected to the Plague Lord himself. Moments later, Chunbai exited Mengming's dream world and opened his eyes in the hotel room. But what greeted him made his face darken. The others were on the floor, groaning in agony, their bodies twitching in pain. He dragged them out of the room and demanded, Wei Xia, what happened? I told you not to come in. Wei Xia's voice trembled. They're infected. Their stats dropped to 0. They're dying. Chunbai told them he'd neutralized the viruses on their bodies and that their stats would recover after a while. Rest here. I'll go fetch Jiang Luoping. Wei Xia stopped him, nervously saying that Jiang Luoping actually came to kill him. Chunbai, stunned, asked why Jiang Luoping would want him dead. Wei Xia explained. Jiang Luoping and Li Feng didn't believe Chunbai's settlement, so they had Song Ge film a video laying out the whole story. After being rejected, Jiang Luoping allegedly shouted Chunbai's name and charged, claiming everything went wrong after Chunbai arrived and that killing him would solve it. Chunbai found the logic absurd. Wei Xia added that Jiang Luoping had a history of bullying and threatening women connected to him, even forcing a childhood friend to drop out. If Song Ge hadn't intervened, Wei Xia might have suffered the same fate. Being trapped with that kind of person in a hotel was a nightmare. Fortunately, Jiang Luoping's talent was weak and he couldn't forcibly act. Learning Chunbai was powerful and that Song Ge was safe, Wei Xia felt relieved and happy. The coughing Jiang Luoping then fell silent. Wei Xia worried aloud whether he had died from the trap. Chunbai said no. The ordinary virus stat drain is rapid, but death still takes time. Wei Xia then declared in anger, I hate that guy. I want him to die without peace. The others reacted with mixed expressions. Jiang Luoping then saw Chunbai embrace and passionately kiss the woman he idolized, which infuriated him. Cut to Chunbai back in the forest outside Wuchang. He received a chat request from Song Ziqiang. He immediately asked what was wrong. Song Ziqiang replied that she'd sent people to pick up Wei Xia and the others, and they were on their way back. Song Ziqiang added, there's a rumor spreading through the Evolver forum. People are talking about a secret chat group filled with powerful awakeners. They say you're the group's mysterious leader. She looked curious, eager to know if it was true. Chunbai smirked. You mean Group 001? Don't tell me you forgot the promo post I asked you to make before the apocalypse? Song Ziqiang's eyes lit up. So it's real? Then all those experts could become our allies in the future. She then asked how to handle the forum posts. Leave them for now, Chunbai replied. Send me the titles of the most popular ones first. I'll decide after reviewing them. Moments later, Song Ziqiang forwarded 4 of the forum's hottest posts. Chunbai glanced over them and smiled faintly. It was time to make the name Group 001 known to the world. Doing so would build massive influence and intimidation, unite the members under a shared pride, and make future recruitment easier. Just then, the lush green grass beneath his feet began to wither. A strange, shimmering scene unfolded before his eyes. The system notification chimed. Secret Realm discovered, Village of the Demon Faith. Excitement flickered in Chunbai's gaze. He had finally rediscovered the secret realm that once granted him the S-Class profession quest, Demon Hunter. The secret realm had 3 different quest paths. The harder the mission, the greater the reward. In his previous life, Chunbai had joined this very dungeon after falling for Brother Chong's persuasive lies. No one expected that Chong would intentionally let the villagers summon a demon. While chaos erupted, he and his team withdrew from the battlefield. His true goal was to use everyone else's deaths to weaken the creature. By the time people realized it was a trap, Chong had already sealed off every escape route. Anyone who tried to run was mercilessly cut down. The group was made up of scattered solo players, unable to organize any resistance. Many first-generation Awakeners died at the hands of Chong's squad and the demon. Once they understood there was no way out, the survivors made a desperate last stand, fighting only for a shred of false hope. When the final fighter fell, Chong finally led his team to strike the exhausted demon. But what he didn't know was that Chunbai was still alive. Knowing discovery meant death, Chunbai quietly slipped toward the dungeon's boundary while they battled. He planned to exploit a mechanic. Completing quests 1 and 2 would allow him to exit through the outer edge of the realm. Yet, just as he was about to escape, Chong's group managed to slay the demon and began rolling dice for loot. Ironically, the very loot system they designed to lure cannon fodder ended up costing them the best reward of all. After grabbing the loot, Chunbai couldn't help but sneer. The others truly got what they deserved. Afterwards, they searched for him relentlessly, forcing Chunbai to leave Wuchang and find a new hideout. He still regretted never seeing Chong's face when the truth came out. While lost in those memories, Chunbai noticed something unusual. He spotted the corpse of a contaminated villager, proof someone was already inside the realm. In his past life, 2 months had passed between Chong slaying the demon and the dungeon's first clear. Logically, no one should have beaten him to it. So who discovered the realm so early? Back in the village square, Chong was there, hunting and slaughtering contaminated villagers with his crew, as Zhang Long's theory suggested. Finishing Quest 2 allowed players to leave. Chong told his men, "Job's done. Let's pull out. We'll finish off the boss next time." At that moment, one of his followers spotted movement. Someone was approaching. Chunbai watched as they broke off. One of them taunted, "You leaving? Fine, I'll take this boss. Hope none of you mind." Chong didn't seem to care and said casually, "Be my guest." Chunbai immediately recognized him. It was Chun Yiqiang. He hadn't expected them to discover this dungeon so early. Before leaving, Chong smirked. "Be careful. That boss is a level 11 demon." Seeing Chunbai approach alone, the demon's eyes lit up with excitement. "How amusing. You don't look afraid. Have you already accepted your death?" Chunbai smirked back. "Funny. It's been a while since I've faced a demon alone. I usually kill your kind in batches." In his previous life as a demon hunter for decades, he'd lost count of how many low-tier fiends he'd slain. He knew their every move, every weakness, even how each muscle fiber worked. With just one strike, the arrogant demon fell dead at his feet. The system notification popped up, "Boss defeated." Quest 3 completed. Feeling the familiar weight in his hands, Chunbai smiled faintly. Good, my touch hasn't dulled. Meanwhile, Chong's team also received quest rewards. The sight left them completely stunned. They soon noticed Chunbai absorbing the demon's remains and decided to head back to check what was happening. After the absorption, Chunbai gained Blacklight virus evolution points and a lesser demon bloodline elixir. Moments later, Chun Yiqiang's group returned. Chunbai looked up with a calm grin. "Oh, you came back. Don't tell me you're here to split the loot." Brother Chong laughed loudly. "You must be kidding, Mr. Chun. You took down the final boss alone. How could I dare to share the loot?" Chunbai stared at him, disgusted by that fake humility. He'd already seen the man's true face before. The boss had dropped plenty of rare items, B-grade lesser demon blood, an A-grade demon blood potion, and even an S-grade demon hunter class scroll. Looking at all these rewards, Chunbai asked calmly, "Aren't you even a little tempted?" To everyone's surprise, Brother Chong pulled out all the loot he had just claimed. Of course, he wanted it badly, but he played the part of the polite subordinate. "Since you finished the quest, everything rightfully belongs to you." Watching him hand over those potions, Chunbai didn't expect such a performance from him. "You came back here not just to congratulate me," Chunbai said coldly. "What do you really want?" Chun Yiqiang quickly waved his hand with a smile. "Nothing serious. I'm cleaning out the west side of Wuchang and didn't want to accidentally step into your territory." At those words, Chunbai's heart stirred. Meng Meng was somewhere around that area. He could tell that behind Chun Ichiang's friendly tone was an attempt to test his limits. My base is in Jiancheng, Chunbai replied evenly. As for Wuchang's West District, all I know is there's a stadium there. He said it casually, hoping to draw out more about their strength near Mengming's location. Chun Ichiang smiled warmly. We just took over the West Suburb Stadium a few days ago. Now we're clearing out the nearby area. With your strength, Mr. Chun, I'm sure you have quite the influence. Maybe we could be friends, help each other out. Chunbai was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected them to move so quickly. To him, clearing was just another word for conquest and slaughter. No wonder Mengming's name never appeared in his past life. It was likely she had been one of their so-called cleanups. Just then, a message from Mengming popped up. She said a group of evolvers had suddenly arrived at her apartment complex, going door to door. They were almost at her place. Chunbai immediately told her to stay safe and promised he'd be there soon. The moment he read the message, rage erupted within him. Dark tentacles burst out from his body, making Brother Chong panic. You're dead, Chunbai roared. Tentacles lashed out, binding Chun Ichiang tightly as he activated Evolution Devour, reading his memories. But the memories came in fragments. None showed where Mengming lived or the exact location of the stadium. The onlookers panicked and scattered in terror. Chunbai's eyes turned cold. He needed one alive to lead the way. He recalled the man who had warned him about the boss earlier. Perhaps that one knew something. Meanwhile, inside Mengming's apartment complex, the evolvers had reached her door, pounding furiously, trying to break in. I'll count to 3. If nobody answers, we're kicking this damn door down. Hearing their threats, Mengming shouted back, You're not welcome here. Leave now, or don't blame me for what happens next. The men outside froze for a second, then laughed when they realized it was a woman. Their excitement only grew darker. In the next instant, Mengming roared and unleashed Sonic Mind Burst. A violent wave of sound exploded outward, the attack piercing straight into their minds. Blood poured from their eyes, ears, and noses as they screamed in agony. But Mengming herself dropped to her knees, her body trembling in pain. She hadn't realized the skill demanded such physical strength. After just 1 second, her throat was shredded and most of her stamina was gone. The hallway fell silent. Mengming took a shaky breath, assuming they'd all passed out. However, one man was still conscious. He grabbed his communicator and sent a call for backup. 2.5 minutes later, loud pounding echoed at her door once again. Mengming's eyes widened. How could they have come back so fast? Suddenly, the locked door burst open with a crash. A group of men stormed inside in unison. Well, sneered the leader, wiping sweat from his brow. Little girl, you look exhausted. Need a hand. It was the same man who had sent for reinforcements. Mengming, barely holding herself up, had only enough strength and mental energy left to use Hellfire Black Flame one more time. Summoning every last drop of strength, Mengming unleashed her final attack. When it ended, she collapsed to her knees, whispering weakly, Master was right. The 4 attributes balance each other. If one grows too strong, it only brings pain. More enemies burst into the room. Mengming had no power left to fight back. Clinging to her last bit of consciousness, she crawled toward the window. She knew she could never fall into their hands. Rough hands grabbed her tightly. Don't resist, one of them sneered. Otherwise, you die. In that desperate moment, Mengming wished someone, anyone, would save her. But even crying for help was beyond her strength. Then suddenly, a dark shadow streaked past the window. As it drew near, Chunbai shattered the glass and burst into the room. Landing hard, he kicked the attackers one by one, sending them crashing across the floor. Then he gently lifted the weakened Mengming into his arms. Seeing her master, Mengming's trembling finally eased. Master, I'm sorry. I wasn't strong enough. Chunbai shook his head softly. You did well. Rest now. From here on, he said quietly, his tone turning deadly cold. Anyone who dares harm my disciple will not leave this room alive. The air grew still. Silence fell like a blade. Then came a faint voice behind him, Mengming's. Her face was flushed, her body trembling in pain. Chunbai instantly realized her body and mind were breaking down from total exhaustion. As she kept calling his name, he held her hand tightly. Don't be afraid. Meng Meng, he whispered. Your master is here. But at that very moment, a shadow moved behind him. Someone was trying to strike from the dark. Without even turning around, Chunbai slammed his palm onto the ground. A black spike burst upward, impaling the assassin behind him. Then he drew in power once more and smashed his arm down hard. In an instant, countless dark spikes erupted from the floor, skewering the remaining enemies. He spoke softly, "Your master will protect you. No one will ever hurt you again." 2.5 hours later, Meng Meng's color had finally returned. Every man who had harbored ill intent had already been sent to meet the King of Hell. Suddenly, a massive hand appeared at the doorway. Chunbai's gaze snapped toward it, his eyes narrowing in cold focus. A figure stepped out of the shadows and said, "Mr. Bai, it's me." It was Zhang Long. Chunbai gently stroked Meng Meng's hair and said calmly, "Since you're here, I assume Chen Yiqiang's team is all dead?" Zhang Long immediately dropped to his knees. "As you ordered, I lured them here to kill you. Now, every one of Chen Yiqiang's loyal men and direct followers is gone." Chunbai's tone turned sharp. "Then the ones left are all yours, aren't they?" Zhang Long froze. The hairs on his neck stood up as cold sweat ran down his face. Zhang Long hurriedly protested, saying he had no followers or lieutenants, only a wife and child. Because he possessed an A-rank scouting talent, true vision, Chen Yiqiang had threatened his family and forced him to join. Zhang Long admitted that if his talent had been mediocre, his family would have suffered the same fate as his neighbors: rape and murder. Chunbai listened and understood the man had been coerced. Zhang Long was also the only one who had warned him about the boss. Chunbai asked, "I respect you. Will you follow me to Jiangcheng?" At that, Zhang Long froze, suddenly tongue-tied and unable to speak clearly. Chunbai quickly added, "It's fine if you don't want to. I'm not like Chang. I don't rule by fear or force. I respect people's choices." Zhang Long hurriedly agreed. "Of course I'll go." I hesitated only because Chen Yiqiang's base still holds many families enslaved, like mine. Chunbai nodded. "Then stay in Wuchang for now. Help stabilize the area and free those people." He went to the storage and pulled out a vial, then noticed the mask inside looked oddly strange. He tossed the vial to Zhang Long and said, "Take this to boost your strength. I've also sent a friend request. Once things settle down, contact me again," Chunbai said. "Then you can decide. Stay in Wuchang or come join me in Jiangcheng." After Zhang Long left, Chunbai reopened his storage. He frowned in confusion. The item inside looked different from before. How could it have changed when he only took out a potion? He remembered clearly, back in the secret realm, it had looked perfectly normal. At the time, he placed inside a job transfer scroll and several demon blood potions. Curious, he began moving the items around inside the inventory. That's when he noticed the mask's eyes, locked onto the demon blood potions, its mouth slightly open, almost as if hungry. "Don't tell me you want to eat these," he muttered. Thinking that those low-tier bloodline potions were basically useless, he figured he might as well test it. After all, this mask was a treasure even Leto wanted. Maybe feeding it would unlock some hidden function. With a shrug, Chunbai poured every single potion straight into the mask's mouth. 2.5 minutes later, the mask looked satisfied, smiling eerily, but nothing else seemed to happen. Chunbai sighed. "Really? You gluttonous thing. All that potion just for a grin?" Still, he thought, maybe it wasn't so strange for an artifact of this level to have an appetite. Then suddenly, the mask spat out a small orb. His eyes widened. For a moment, he thought it was waste. Wait, don't tell me this thing eats and spits out through the same mouth. When Chunbai picked up the small orb, he realized it was purified demon blood essence. That surprised him. The mask could refine bloodlines. Combined with the dungeon that kept regenerating demon blood enemies, he now had an endless supply of high-grade demon blood essence. On his way to rescue Meng Meng, he hadn't yet checked the job change scroll. The quest required him to enter the first layer of the abyss and slay 100 demon hunters and 100 fallen demons. He thought to himself, "This time, I won't retreat like before. The abyss is dangerous, but full of opportunity." At that moment, Meng Meng slowly opened her sleepy eyes. When she saw Chunbai beside her, she immediately threw herself into his arms and began to cry. Chunbai gently comforted her, saying, "It's over now. Your master killed all the bad guys. Between sobs, Meng Meng admitted she was still too weak in the real world and needed more physical training. But Chunbai told her to keep her current pace. What mattered now was leveling up and mastering her skills. She pouted, saying the EXP needed was insane and most of the monsters nearby were already cleared. I can't even travel fast or detect dungeons, she grumbled. Chunbai smiled. Once you've rested, we'll head to Jiangsheng. There'll be plenty of dungeons waiting for you. Hearing that, Meng Meng brightened up, saying she was fine and ready to go. But before she could move, Chunbai grabbed her hand. In one swift motion, he lifted her into a princess carry. If you try to walk there on your own, we won't reach Jiangsheng before next month. Hold on tight, he added. If the wind pressure's too strong, just pat me. Then, holding her close, Chunbai dashed across the rooftops, leaping from building to building. 2.5 hours later, they arrived at the entrance of the secret realm. Meng Meng suddenly noticed the scenery shift in an instant. Chunbai explained, the difference between a secret realm and a dungeon lies in the entrance. Only those who've cleared a secret realm can see the re-entry prompt. For evolvers, stumbling into a new one is extremely dangerous. Excited at the thought of leveling up soon, Meng Meng asked, Master, should I lure the monsters for you? Chunbai warned, this isn't the dream world. Every skill used matters here. He told her to stay near the entrance, where it was relatively safe. With that, Meng Meng watched as his figure vanished deeper into the secret realm. This time, Chunbai noticed something different. The quest no longer required killing demons, but instead demanded the elimination of all demon servants and dark priests. The rewards also lacked demon blood potions. Could it be that this place doesn't drop bloodline potions anymore? He wondered. Determined to find out, he decided to go straight for the boss. Soon, he reached the central plaza of the secret realm. The moment he saw the dungeon boss, his body blinked forward, appearing right behind it. He activated Purification Devour, then conjured a shimmering shield, blocking the swarm of lesser monsters. After slaying the boss, a system prompt appeared. He could still extract demon blood through Evolution Devour. Slamming his arm to the ground again, countless black spikes burst out, impaling the nearby enemies. He was surprised to find that even mini-bosses could yield bloodline potions of the same quality as the main boss. He then tried with elite monsters, and it worked too. Only regular mobs dropped nothing at all. At that moment, Meng Meng was bored out of her mind, standing idly near the entrance. Watching Chunbai effortlessly mowing down monsters, she couldn't help but envy him. Doing nothing and gaining no EXP felt unfair. Just as she was about to complain, a familiar voice echoed in her ear. Get ready to use your biggest AoE skill. Chunbai's voice came through as a massive wave of dungeon monsters charged after him. They're all low on health, he added. Your mental power should be enough to finish them off. Meng Meng immediately focused and unleashed Annihilation Mind Burst. Notifications exploded across her interface, kill after kill. In no time, she reached level 6.5, while Chunbai himself hit level 9. Overjoyed, Meng Meng threw her arms around him, laughing. Thank you, Master, for luring the monsters. I love you. Chunbai chuckled awkwardly, just as a communication request came in from Song Ziqiang. He accepted the call and noticed the worried looks on their faces. What happened, he asked. Song Ziqiang spoke quickly, her tone tense. Master, we need your help. A goblin calling himself the god of trade has arrived at the settlement. The title made Chunbai's expression darken. He immediately thought of Lido. But why would Lido go to the settlement himself? According to Song Ziqiang, Lido offered an A-rank silver city building order as an investment. His condition was that, once construction was complete, he'd be given the best district to establish a merchant guild, tax-free, forever. To Chunbai, it sounded like a perfect deal. High-grade city building orders were incredibly rare, and a structure recognized by the Cosmic will came with countless benefits. Song Ziqiang agreed, but warned that the order couldn't be stored. It had to be used immediately. And activating an A-rank order would trigger a monster siege event. With their current strength, the settlement might not survive. She promised to bring Chunbai back within a day. Song Ziqiang was surprised. She had planned to delay the decision for a day, giving Chunbai time to personally accept the investment. unaware that he already had. That investment is from Lido, Chunbai told her. Praise him as much as possible during the negotiation, and make sure to mention my name when you can. Understanding his intention immediately, Song Ziqiang nodded and knew exactly what to do. After ending the call, Chunbai pulled out a stack of gear cards, all designed to boost Mingming's constitution. Mingming blinked in confusion. Master, why the sudden upgrade? There's an emergency at the settlement, Chunbai explained. We'll be traveling at full speed. I don't want you collapsing on the way. Mingming quickly equipped everything. Her slender figure instantly ballooned into a chubby form, her constitution skyrocketing to level 30. Meanwhile, Song Ziqiang followed Chunbai's instructions and agreed to Lido's investment. Lido chuckled with satisfaction. Impressive. You've got both courage and judgment. No wonder you built such a large settlement so early in the apocalypse and kept thousands of evolvers in order. Song Ziqiang humbly replied, You flatter me, Lord of Trade. My ability isn't even 1/10,000th of yours. Being chosen for your investment is the greatest honor of our settlement. Hearing this, Lido smiled even wider, now completely certain his investment was the right choice. Good, he said. When the time comes, take good care of our Goblin Trade Guild. Song Ziqiang smiled faintly. There's actually someone among our administrators who's admired you for a long time. When he heard your guild was coming, he abandoned his expedition and started rushing back immediately. Lido was genuinely surprised. Very few people even knew about his arrival, let alone his connection to the Goblin Guild. Song Ziqiang smiled politely. I believe you know him as well. His name is Chunbai. He's also received your investment before. That kid, Lido, the god of trade, raised his brows in surprise. Well, I didn't expect that. Without hesitation, he canceled the original A-rank investment task. Song Ziqiang froze, thinking he'd withdrawn his offer. But Lido quickly clarified, No, I'm not canceling it. I'm upgrading it. He lifted his hand, and a golden light filled the room. A brilliant S-rank golden city building order. This is an S-rank golden order, Lido explained. An A-rank project will be far too easy for that boy. If he makes it back in time, he added, you'll have the chance to clear an S-rank monster siege. He then personally issued the S-rank golden city building quest to Song Ziqiang. The system notification read, a radius of 10,000 meters around the activation point will be recognized by the cosmic will. Seeing the quest map, Song Ziqiang gasped. The area was several times larger than that of an A-rank mission. Lido smirked. Of course, with greater reward comes greater danger. Do you still dare to accept it? Song Ziqiang's eyes shone with determination. As long as the White Emperor stands with us, there's nothing to fear. One day later, Chunbai returned to the settlement with Mingming in his arms. Song Ziqiang was overjoyed to see him. The monsters had already begun to gather, forcing them to clear part of the area early, which had slightly delayed his return. Chunbai gently placed the sleeping Mingming in her room before asking Song Ziqiang to brief him on the situation. There were still about 20 minutes before the mission would begin. Song Ziqiang had already organized 3 defensive lines, focusing their strongest formation on the Jiangchang side, with several fallback defense plans prepared. After hearing her report, Chunbai nodded approvingly. Well done, he said. At that moment, Song Ziqiang brought over a heavy chest. During their time raiding the sewer dungeon, they had finally completed the remaining pieces of the plague set. Chunbai smiled warmly as he opened it. You've done well. Choosing you was one of the best decisions I ever made. Though nervous about the upcoming S-rank investment mission, Song Ziqiang felt reassured when she saw Chunbai calm enough to return with a girl in his arms. Don't get the wrong idea, Chunbai said quickly. She's not someone I brought back like that. She's my disciple, and her talent rivals my own. He then instructed, have Song go look after her. When she wakes up, let me know immediately. She, he added firmly, is the key to defending this settlement. Outside, tens of thousands of zombies surged like a living tide, flooding the horizon. It was Chunbai's first time witnessing an S-rank city building order siege. In his previous life, the founding of White Emperor City had only triggered a B-rank event. Compared to this, the difference in scale was astronomical. With only 3 minutes remaining before the assault began, hordes of undead had already gathered at the foothills around the settlement. Song Ziqiang stood atop a watchtower, addressing everyone through the communication network. Citizens of Dongshan Settlement, we are about to face a siege that will last 5 days and 5 nights. But do not panic. We possess the strongest walls in the world, the best supplies, and the most reliable support. Among us are over 100 B rank ability users, nearly 10 A and S rank elites, and even 2 of the strongest 3 S rank talents in existence. So there's no reason to fear failure. Song Ziqiang declared, in 5 days, this will become the largest and most advanced territory in the world. Everyone defending the city will enjoy discounted access to every facility we build. 1 minute left. Get ready to harvest gold and experience. The crowd erupted into cheers, their morale reaching its peak. Excitement filled the air. Watching the enthusiasm spread, Chunbai nodded with approval. Song Ziqiang smiled and said softly, my confidence comes entirely from you and that girl you brought back. That little one has quite the voice amplification talent, she added. I'll send someone to escort her to safety now. Then she turned to Luli. How's the livestream setup? Luli replied that she had chosen the highest grade, controllable broadcast drone provided by the Cosmic Will. Looking down at the sea of undead covering the valley, Chunbai's eyes gleamed. Start the broadcast, he ordered. With just 1 minute remaining before the siege, the live feed went viral instantly, rocketing to the top of the trending list and sparking a wave of heated discussion. As the final countdown began, Chunbai gathered his energy, body tense, ready for battle. The moment the event started, every zombie's body erupted in dark energy. The entire horde had entered an enhanced mutation state. Watching from afar, Lung Shuang gasped. We should have taken out more before they powered up, but Chunbai had already anticipated it. He knew that while the mutated zombies were now 3 times stronger, their gold and EXP rewards had also tripled. After clearing the first wave, he activated Infectious Plague. Combined with the Plague set's debuff effects, he launched infected targets into the horde, spreading the contagion like wildfire and dealing constant corrosion and stat reduction damage. Though the skill's base damage was low, its spreading power and weakening effect drastically reduced the difficulty of the siege. Just then, Chunbai sensed a sudden fluctuation in psychic energy. Infected zombies were clustering together, while the others instinctively backed away from them. He immediately understood. There had to be a zombie lord, a commander capable of controlling the entire horde. That explained why the undead had marched in perfect formation instead of trampling each other. If I can find the lord, the rest will crumble easily, he thought. But he still didn't know its exact location. If he left the front line now to search for it, the defense would collapse and casualties would be inevitable. But if he waited too long, once the horde surrounded the settlement from all sides, it would be nearly impossible to break through and hunt the lord. There is only one perfect solution. He needed Mingming's help. At that moment, Chunbai silently prayed that his sleeping disciple would wake up soon. Moments later, Mingming slowly opened her drowsy eyes. A strange woman stood before her. Where am I? Where's my master? She asked, still confused. Soon, Chunbai received a message from Songge. Mingming had passed out earlier from exhaustion and wind pressure, but Songge had just filled her in on the situation. Chunbai described the creature's form through the comms. A humanoid body wrapped in a fine exoskeletal mesh, with multiple tentacles extending from its shoulders and a massive head radiating psychic power. Hearing that, Mingming nodded and closed her eyes. Don't let anyone near me, she told Songge, preparing to enter her dream world. It was her first time using her power on such a grand scale. Inside the dream realm, Mingming could shape and control everything at will. Massive boulders began to rise into the air under her command. With a thought, she sent them crashing down on the zombie horde like a rain of meteors. Watching the devastation unfold, she whispered, "Ah, the dream world really is the best." Inside her dreamscape, Mingming locked onto the direction of the zombie Lord Chunbai had described. She spread a pair of ethereal wings and took to the skies. There was no time to waste on her master's command. Back on the battlefield, the first day of the siege was nearing its end. Gasping for breath, Chunbai asked, "Report the casualties and wall condition." Song Ziqiang responded quickly. Thanks to your rampage up front, the strike teams only suffered minor injuries, and the walls have taken almost no real damage. You should rest a bit, she suggested. Others can handle the defense for now. Chun Bai shook his head. No, things aren't as good as they look. When Song Ziqiang learned that a zombie capable of commanding others existed, her eyes widened in shock. She hadn't imagined such a creature could appear, and today's wave had already included dozens of enhanced types. Chun Bai's tone turned grim. The zombie lord is conserving strength, preparing to crush the settlement in one strike. Just then, Meng Meng and Song Gu rushed over. When Chun Bai saw Meng Meng, his expression softened for a moment. Then his gaze hardened again. Tell Lu Li to cut the broadcast immediately. No one can see what happens next. Because Meng Meng's power was far too unique, Chun Bai could never risk exposing it to outsiders. Seeing her rush over so excitedly, he asked, "Did you find any trace of the zombie lord?" Meng Meng shook her head. I sensed a few psychic waves, but they were brief. I could only determine a rough direction. No tracking lock. Her tone turned apologetic. Don't apologize, Chun Bai said gently. You've already done everything you could. I'm not completely empty-handed, she replied, signaling Song Gu to unfold a large map. I found several clusters of special zombies, she explained. Each area has hundreds of them gathered. She pointed one by one. Here, 200 or 300 red-eyed giants, all over 2 meters tall. At Dongjiang Square, headless, armless abominations. The Riverside TV Tower, covered in fast climbers, and Manhwa Street, packed with power types built like tanks. Hearing her report, Chun Bai's eyes narrowed. Juggernauts, hunters, howlers, all second-stage evolutions. Just as I thought, they're preparing for a full-scale strike. Song Ziqiang frowned. How strong are these second-stage ones, exactly? Each is at least level 10, Chun Bai answered. Judging by Meng Meng's data, there are over 1,000 of them gathered. If it were just numbers, we could handle it. His expression darkened. But under the Lord's command, they won't swarm the walls. They'll break through and slaughter. When that happens, it becomes a race to kill or be killed. Fewer than 1 in 10 will survive. The gravity of his words made Song Ziqiang pale. She immediately ordered her scouts to find any evolvers with tracking-type abilities. Chun Bai thought for a moment. Then a name came to mind. He sent a message to Han Xiao, whose mental control ability made him perfect for the task. By the next morning, Han Xiao stepped through the dream gate into the settlement, stunned by the scale of the fortress that greeted him. Upon arriving, Han Xiao grinned. Hey, can I at least get a villa to crash in? Chun Bai replied casually, plenty of empty ones on the hilltop. Take whichever you like. Delighted, Han Xiao immediately got ready to begin the hunt for the zombie lord. Master, Meng Meng asked, which special zombies do we deal with first? The Riverside TV Tower, Chun Bai said. Those hunters can leap over walls. They're the biggest threat to the settlement. He added, but the zombie lord won't sit still. When it reacts, Han Zhao's mental ability will be crucial. With that, Chun Bai and Meng Meng took to the skies, streaking toward the riverbank. Han Xiao stood below, dumbfounded. Guess it's time I learn how to fly with psychic control, he muttered. Moments later, Meng Meng arrived at the TV tower and unleashed piercing mind burst. Waves of zombies plummeted from the structure, boosting her confidence instantly. I'm strong, she thought. But before she could celebrate, a swarm of zombies lunged toward her. Their movements were so fast that Meng Meng barely had time to react. Just as she was surrounded, Chun Bai appeared beside her in a blur. He activated Burning Desire, igniting both the minds and bodies of the undead in searing flames. Then he slammed his palm against the ground. Black spikes erupted upward, skewering the hunters clinging to the tower. Side by side, he and Meng Meng struck down the remaining foes in perfect rhythm. Finally, Chun Bai used Evolution Devour to consume the last hunter. When the fight was over, they counted 297 hunters slain, a staggering number for the second day of battle. Didn't expect so many elite zombies this early, Chun Bai muttered. But without their lord, the rest would crumble into chaos. Should we move to the next nest now? Meng Meng asked. Before he could answer, a throwing knife sliced through the air, aimed straight at his throat. Chun Bai caught the flying knife between his fingers and said calmly, No need to worry. The blade carried a message from Han Xiao. He had found the zombie lord's location. Moments later, Chun Bai and Meng Meng met up with him. Han Xiao pointed ahead. The psychic signals coming from that valley. Chun Bai frowned. The lord was hiding behind their own base. Smart move. Han Xiao grinned. Then let's go take down the boss. Not here, Chun Bai replied. We'll fight it in the real world. His lips curved in a sharp smile. I'm going to stream the whole thing. This lord will be my ticket to fame. He patted Han Xiao's shoulder. You've done great. If it drops anything good, you'll get your share. Then he instructed both Han Xiao and Meng Meng to clear out the second stage elites, especially the Howlers. Those things evolve through psychic power. You two can counter them. They can't fight up close, but their screams can cripple even enhanced zombies. With that, Chun Bai's eyes hardened. Time for me to leave the dream world. Soon, he arrived at the location Han Xiao described. Though he lacked detection skills, he could feel the thick viral energy, a sure sign the Lord was nearby. Suddenly, a shadow lunged at him. Two Reapers, higher-class predators, attacked at blinding speed. They were faster than hunters, likely the Lord's personal guards. Their movements were fluid, almost matching his own. Chun Bai feigned weakness, leaving an opening to lure them in. He couldn't risk letting them retreat and stall. The Lord might escape. Sure enough, the second Reaper took the bait. Chun Bai seized one by the arm, smashed it into the other, then shifted into his hammer form and crushed them both with a single devastating blow. Without hesitation, Chun Bai activated Evolution Devour, absorbing the two fourth-stage Reaper-class zombies. When the process ended, the blacklight virus inside him evolved again, unlocking the blade form. Suddenly, a surge of overwhelming psychic energy slammed into him. Chun Bai instantly realized the zombie lore had arrived. I thought you'd run while you had the chance, he sneered. What? You think you can kill me? He swung his new arm blade in a clean arc, slicing the creature neatly in half. Watching the body fall, Chun Bai frowned. That's it? So weak. Then, a familiar voice echoed behind him. He turned, only to see Song Ziqiang rushing forward and throwing her arms around him. Chun Bai froze. What was she doing here? Soon, others appeared too, smiling as they congratulated him on his victory. His eyes narrowed. Impressive. You even know my preferences and weaknesses. With a single slash, he shattered the illusions. The group's forms twisted grotesquely, revealing themselves as undead phantoms. Such low-grade illusion tricks, Chun Bai said coldly. Don't embarrass yourself. The zombie lord's psychic illusions couldn't shake his perception at all. As the false world cracked apart, the true form of the lord emerged, trembling in disbelief. Chun Bai smirked. Looks like your mental power's lower than mine. Lord Zombie. The scene broadcast live sent shockwaves through the viewers. Chat exploded in disbelief and awe. Meanwhile, alarms blared across the settlement. Armored brute titans, second-stage power-type zombies, were rampaging toward the walls. The massive brute titans grabbed nearby zombies and hurled them toward the meat walls like living projectiles, quickly reducing the fortress's defenses. Seeing this, Song Ziqiang shouted, prioritize the ones thrown onto the wall. Take them out first. The awakened fighters of the settlement unleashed their powers, each displaying unique abilities to push back the undead horde. Suddenly, a howler emerged from the chaos. Its deafening screech shattered their focus and broke the defensive formation entirely. The zombie army surged forward, breaching the fourth section of the wall. But Song Ziqiang stepped into the breach, rallying the frightened defenders. With her violet edge blade, she sent waves of golden-purple energy slicing through the undead ranks, slowing their advance. On another front, Lung Shuang fought fiercely, cutting down every zombie that came near. The howler inhaled again, preparing a second sonic blast. Song Ziqiang's eyes flashed coldly. She struck first. A massive amethyst spear shot forth, piercing straight through the creature's torso. Hold your ground, she commanded. The White Emperor is fighting the zombie lord. Once he wins, victory will be ours. The live broadcast captured it all, and the chat exploded. Viewers were awestruck by Song Ziqiang's presence and unshakable aura. To Chun Bai's surprise, a new mutation appeared on the battlefield. The Tyrant Stalker, an evolved version of the Brute-class Tyrant. Suddenly, Another zombie lunged at him from behind. The live chat exploded. Everyone thought he was finally in danger. The creature was on the same tier as the zombie lord itself, its entire body wreathed in eerie blue flames, the Soulfire heretic. And towering over them all came another beast, a colossal, muscle-bound flesh mountain. Even distant viewers watching the stream could see the monster's massive shadow moving across the cityscape. But Chunbai didn't flinch. He activated Infernal Blaze. His Hellfire-empowered blade ignited, piercing straight through the Flesh Mountain's chest. With one decisive strike, he cleaved deep and then saw the zombie lord behind it trying to flee. Not so fast. He smirked, slicing through the lord with a single strike. Once the leader fell, the hulking monster's assault immediately faltered. Just as he exhaled, a gigantic hand came crashing down from above. The Flesh Mountain wasn't dead. It roared in rage and lunged again. Chunbai noticed it was trying to devour the fallen zombie lord. "Oh no, you don't," he muttered, interrupting the act mid-motion. "Bold of you," he barked ice cold. "Who gave you permission to eat what's mine?" Leaping high, he spun midair and split the Flesh Mountain in two with his blazing blade. At that exact moment, the Tyrant Stalker's whip lashed toward him. Chunbai dodged easily. Such sluggish attacks couldn't possibly hit him now. He sensed its power had weakened. His Plague Infection debuff was still in effect. Rather than retreat, Chunbai stood firm. "Let's see," he muttered. "How well can you handle my infernal soulfire?" Chunbai smirked. "Perfect." The Tyrant Stalker's massive frame would make a fine shield against the heretic's blazing attack. In the blink of an eye, he unleashed Instant Slash, cutting down both high-tier mutants at once. Looking at the corpses and glowing loot scattered around, he couldn't help but grin. All the rare evolution materials he'd been hunting for were gathered here. Even better, their quality exceeded his blueprints by a full tier. With this haul, he murmured, "I'm bound to forge something incredible." The live chat went wild. None of the viewers had ever seen such loot in their lives. Yet when Chunbai initiated the fusion, his expression froze. The result was only a C-rank set, Biohazard Doom. But as he opened the stats window, surprise replaced disappointment. The set's abilities were absurd. First, Mind of the Lord. Permanently control up to 3 creatures with lower mental power. Second, Valley of the Stalker. Massively boosts speed and strength. Third, Strike of the Flesh Mountain. Restores vitality on every kill, granting permanent stat boosts except for mental power. Fourth, Heart of the Heretic Flame. Releases psychic fields and suppressive auras. The core, passive, catastrophic evolution. After slaying enough mutants, the gear itself evolves into a sentient soul-bound weapon. Even the dismembered high-tier mutants still pulsed with absorbable energy. Maybe this'll push my blacklight virus even further, Chunbai thought. As he absorbed them, his body changed again. The virus evolved into a new form. Opening his evolution panel, he saw the unlock bar hit 100%. "Time to max it out," he said, initiating full-tier blacklight evolution. The battle had been beyond profitable, a growing soul relic and multiple new powers. His hands trembled with excitement. A burst of motion, he launched into an aerial dash, streaking back toward the settlement like a black comet. Meanwhile, Luli reported his actions to Song Ziqiang, shifting every live feed camera to capture the front lines. Song Ziqiang was receiving treatment after taking injuries from the relentless zombie assault. Since the siege began, Su Xian hadn't taken a single break. She insisted that with her healing talent, she couldn't afford to rest. Seeing her exhaustion, Song Ziqiang scolded, "You need to rest now? You're not the only healer here. If you collapse, the White Emperor won't be happy." Then, with a teasing smirk, she added, "Besides, when the celebration starts, if your recovery skills are down, we girls will be in big trouble." Suddenly, a guard burst into the room, shouting, "Bad news. The situation's getting worse. Even though the Lord is dead, the Horde's hatred has locked onto the settlement. They're still attacking nonstop, and the elite mutants that were under its command have bunched up together. They're rampaging as one." According to Wei Shia's tactical scan, 3 wall sectors are about to fall. The tank-type zombies are massing up, and our artillery can't hold them. On the other end, Wei Shia received Song Ziqiang's message. The Western Sixth Wall will only last 3 more minutes, she reported. The flesh barrier's regeneration can't keep up with the damage anymore. Song Ziqiang saw the fatigue in her teammates' eyes through the comm feed. Wei Shi's A-rank talent, all-seeing mark, allowed her to tag any target within sight, but she'd been using it non-stop since the siege began. Her mind was at its limit. Song Ziqiang sighed softly. That Sangha girl really does pick her allies, and her men, well. Then she stood up, grabbing her weapon. I'm heading to the front lines. And someone dragged Wei Xia off the wall before she passes out. Outside, chaos ruled the barricades. Even the timid Song Gu had joined the fight, wielding her weapon with trembling hands. Don't come any closer, Lung Shuang shouted. They're too fast. You'll just get yourselves killed. Right then, Chunbai arrived in time, his tone cold. She told you to stay back. Don't make things worse. Without hesitation, he dove into the horde, blades flashing as corpses fell one after another. Spread the word. The Lord is dead. I'll finish this fight myself. Seeing his return, Song Ji's eyes filled with tears of relief. The White Emperor had returned, and victory was certain. Chunbai began testing his newly acquired powers. The roaring horde before him crumbled like paper. He activated virus tracking and thermal scan, detecting clusters of undead nearby. Then, with a deep breath, he unleashed charged earth spikes. Dozens of black spears erupted from the ground, impaling the swarm in an instant. On the other side, Song Ziqiang and Meng Meng fought fiercely, cutting down the remaining undead. After 5 brutal days, the siege was finally over. The cost, however, was greater than anyone expected. The walls lay in ruins. Chunbai realized they had overestimated their endurance and underestimated the battle's intensity. Still, thanks to his and Meng Meng's efforts, victory was theirs. Suddenly, the voice of the god of trade echoed across the battlefield. You should be proud. The battlefield may look grim, but the death toll is far lower than I expected. Congratulations. You've perfectly completed the mission. You may now found your own city-state. This marks the first citadel since the trials descended. As the golden light of the S-rank construction order settled upon the ground, a new banner rose from the ashes, the dawn of their first city. Chunbai took Song Ziqiang by the hand and led her to the spot where the construction order would be activated. At that moment, a brilliant light erupted from the open field at the base of East Mountain. A glowing sphere appeared, the star of civilization, a relic capable of founding a city of one's own. The site had been carefully chosen by Song Ziqiang in advance. It was surrounded by mountains with a vast plain in the center, perfect for key facilities and resource hubs. A waterway crossed the land, ideal for future transport and trade. Hearing her explanation, Chunbai couldn't help but admire her foresight. Then Song Ziqiang turned to the god of trade, Lido, with another request. Although this city was built through your investment, I wish for Chunbai to be its ruler. Lido chuckled softly. The city core already belongs to you. Just honor your deal, build the Goblin Commerce Guild in the Central District, and that will suffice. And so, Chunbai became the rightful master of the new city. He placed his hand upon the heart of the city. The voice of the cosmic will echoed. Please name city no. Memories of Helaratha's cruelty from his past life flashed before his eyes. Time to revive that grudge, he murmured. This place shall be called White Emperor City. System prompt. The city core holder gains plus 20% EXP and drop rate. Within White Emperor City, all allies gain plus 100% stats, while enemies suffer minus 50% to all attributes. Chunbai granted Song Ziqiang the highest administrative authority within White Emperor City, granting her an 80% boost to all attributes inside its boundaries. All registered evolvers within the city received 10 points of reputation, plus additional free stat points based on their individual contributions. At that moment, Lido, the god of trade, began clapping enthusiastically. Song Ziqiang blinked in surprise. Mr. Lido, you seem unusually pleased. What's got you so happy? With a satisfied grin, Lido replied, because this is a flawless deal. Chunbai gained sovereignty, you gained command, and I got my return on investment. Everyone wins. He was clearly delighted with the outcome. Before departing, Lido reminded Chunbai, don't forget the mission tied to my earlier investment. Chunbai scratched his neck awkwardly. You're well aware how difficult that one is. That's why I chose you, Leto said with a confident smile. I believe you'll finish it. Chunbai then handed Song Ziqiang the golden tier construction reward he had just drawn, trusting her to plan its use wisely. The reward contained 2 legendary items: the galactic-grade supercomputing core and the fully automated integrated production line. These systems can craft vehicles and melee weapons that function within the trials, Chunbai explained. With them, White Emperor City will advance far ahead of any other settlement. Song Ziqiang frowned slightly. But in this new age, what use are guns? Chunbai chuckled. These aren't pre-apocalypse firearms. Each one carries attributes of its own. It's time to let go of your old world thinking. Take the city's management system, for example, Chunbai said. Right now, it doesn't look like much. But once we unlock more exclusive blueprints, you'll be amazed at what it can do. An S-rank structure called the Bio Backup Center can literally clone your body, giving you a second life. And the anti-gravity platform? It'll let us build a floating city in the sky. These designs are only available to S-rank civilizations. Song Ziqiang's eyes lit up as she finally understood. Then our White Emperor City will definitely become the strongest city in the future. Just then, Meng Meng came running in, brimming with excitement. Master, I went wild in the dream world. I even unlocked 3 new skills. She eagerly showed him the descriptions. White noise, which emits a hypnotic resonance that lures others into dreams, and rising drowsiness, which massively strengthens her dream totem sleep effect. Chunbai smiled approvingly. Excellent picks. Now your dream totem doesn't even need eye contact to pull people in, and combined with rising drowsiness, it'll work even in the real world. Though he was the one who taught her those principles, Meng Meng still beamed with pride under his praise. The third skill, she added, is called Dream In, Dream Out. It lets me bring anyone out of a dream back into reality. Chunbai instantly realized that was essentially a teleportation ability. So if you pull Han Xiao into a dream, you can use the totem to jump straight to him or bring others back through it, he explained. Not bad, he said with a grin. Your skill choices are worthy of a graduate. But in other areas, you've still got a long way to go. Meng Meng couldn't wait to test her new powers. Chunbai instructed Meng Meng to wait at the training grounds halfway up the mountain. Then he told Song Ziqiang to gather several evolvers of different mental strength levels. He wanted to test Meng Meng's new skills in live combat. Song Ziqiang, however, wrapped her arms around him with a teasing smile. Don't train too late, my lord. Everyone's been preparing to properly reward our city master tonight. Oh, and I heard Song Ji's got a surprise waiting for you, she added playfully. Meanwhile, Song Gu and the others were setting up the celebration feast, laughing and joking the entire time. They were full of confidence, swearing to conquer Chunbai that night. We're totally ready, one of them joked. But Song Gu, don't pass out early like last time. Never again. Song Gu huffed. I've dumped all my stat points into stamina this time. After a long round-robin battle, Chunbai and the group finally took a short rest. Lying beside him, Song Ziqiang earnestly asked for his advice on combat techniques and skill builds. Suddenly, Song Gu popped out from under the covers, eyes sparkling with anticipation. Chunbai sighed inwardly. With her C-rank talent and barely branched skill tree, there really wasn't much to guide. Yet, unable to resist their persistence, he finally agreed. Fine, send me screenshots of all your skill trees. The women cheered at once. He began with Song Ziqiang's S-rank ability, the Amethyst Eye, which had 3 distinct evolution paths. You should focus on eye evolution and mental reinforcement, he advised. Don't waste your growth on close combat. Abilities like Eye of Clarity, Infinite Depth, and Noble Vision are the real core of your power. Control and perception are what define a true queen, especially Infinite Depth, which could send anyone who met her gaze into a dazed, disoriented trance. Next came Wei Xia, whose A-rank ability, All-Seeing Vision, only had 2 unlocked branches. Chunbai advised, prioritize Threat Sense and Arrow of Perception. Once you share your vision with teammates, you'll become an irreplaceable support, practically a divine tier scout. Then it was Lu Li's turn, with her B-rank talent Phantasmal Projection. Chunbai immediately noticed a hidden potential capable of miracles. though Luli complained that none of her skills dealt any real damage. He shook his head. You're looking at it wrong. The skill belief manifestation means this. If the enemy can't see through your illusion, then to them, the illusion is real. If they believe the nuke in your illusion exists, it will kill them as if it does. That's why there's no damage stat in the description, because everything is possible. Song Ziqiang was stunned. A B-rank ability that strong? But she quickly pointed out the weakness. Luli had no energy disguise or aura manipulation skills, meaning her illusions could easily be exposed. It all depends on your finesse, Chunbai agreed. Next was Su Xian, who possessed the B-rank talent Rapid Regeneration. Chunbai recommended she balance her vitality, flesh, and mental recovery stats evenly. Your powers affect you first. Only with active control can they heal others. Simple, but incredibly practical, he said. Honestly, I've never seen a steadier or more reliable healing talent. Before he could continue, Song Ge threw herself into his arms, eyes sparkling. My turn, right? Chunbai chuckled. Her C-rank talent was the weakest, which was why he saved her for last. Then he turned to Ling Yu's B-rank talent, Focus Concentration. Don't underestimate it, he warned. This is a one-on-one god-tier talent. Once you focus on a single target, your mind accelerates and distractions disappear. You should pick supporting skills that enhance analysis and judgment, and start building real 1v1 combat experience against other ability users. Before Chunbai could finish speaking, Lingyu moved to express her gratitude through action. Song Ziqiang immediately realized what was happening. Lingyu had turned her focus ability onto her master. Right now, she thought, I could stab her and she wouldn't even notice. Chunbai quickly intervened to stop her. He flicked her forehead with a sharp bonk, snapping her out of it. You need to control who and when you enter that state, he scolded. Otherwise, this so-called gift is just garbage. Finally came Song Ge, whose C-rank talent, innate insight, enhanced experience, and skill growth. Chunbai told her to unlock and max out every available skill node. Doing so would give her 10 times the comprehension, learning speed, and technical mastery of a normal person. With that kind of growth, he said, you'll master every combat stance and technique in no time. He smirked. Your stamina may never match mine, but with enough finesse, you might just conquer me yet. Song Ziqiang clapped her hands and ordered, everyone, keep training hard. Don't embarrass White Emperor's city. Just then, Cold Frost passed by the room, hearing the lively voices inside. A hint of longing crossed her face. She too wanted Chunbai's personal guidance. 2.5 days later, Chunbai arrived at Han Zhao's home through Mengming's dream teleportation skill. The long-range jump had drained Mengming's mental power severely, leaving her dizzy and weak. Han Zhao welcomed him eagerly, asking about the progress in White Emperor City. Chunbai replied that all planning and logistics were complete. The residents were already working hard to raise the city. He then asked Han Zhao how many stat points he'd earned from the building reward, assuming he'd slain plenty of zombies alongside Mengming. Han Zhao rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. Just one. I kind of fell to my death. Got knocked out mid-flight when a mental wave hit me too hard. Chunbai stared at him, speechless. Finally, he sighed. From now on, don't go around telling people you're from chat group. Han Zhao paled instantly, scrambling to change the subject and mention the chemical plant case. Coincidentally, that was exactly why Chunbai had come. The two set out together toward the factory. The plague sigil had been buzzing ever since it teleported in, a clear SSS-ranked task beacon. Chunbai realized the plague zombies at the chemical plant were directly tied to that mission. He couldn't help but feel a flicker of anticipation. What could an SSS reward possibly be? After arriving, he took out the golden mask to inspect it. He was wary anyone in Jiang City might notice such a prize, especially Lido. To his surprise, the mask could refine bloodline potions into S-rank essences, with no usage restrictions. Han Zhao pointed to a patch of green mist nearby. There, that's the place. Han Zhao only knew the plant from before the collapse. He had little idea how it had changed. When Chunbai told him they'd go together, Han Zhao turned pale. The mist and fungal mats looked genuinely hazardous. Chunbai reassured him, stay within 10 meters of me and you'll be fine. I'll also take you to your father's workplace. Might trigger a quest. Han Zhao hurriedly put on a mask. At that moment, the Plague Sigil triggered an A-rank side mission. Plague Factory. Reward: new skill bacterial culturing. Shunbai began absorbing the ambient pathogens. By the time he hit level 10, his talent had leveled up and his virus control surged. Surrounded by virulent agents, he felt oddly elated. Every microbe within 10 meters answered to him. Han Xiao watched in awe. White Emperor, you're something else. Then Han Xiao spotted movement ahead. It was a massive flying mosquito beast. Shunbai shifted in a blade form instantly. In a blink, he was above it. One devastating strike bisected the creature. He admitted to himself, he absolutely hated mosquitoes. Han Xiao suspected the beast was guarding a nearby mushroom. The fungi might be a dungeon material. Shunbai snapped to Han Xiao, forbidding him to touch it. Try to pick it and your lungs will rot out. It's a hybrid, a fusion of plague virus and bacteria. In front of Han Xiao, Shunbai plucked it barehanded and ate it whole. His virus immunity nullified any harm, earning him 150 virus points instead. Not bad, he muttered. One bite of this equals a few elite zombies. He devoured another, gaining 350 more virus points. Then he decided to go deeper, toward the factory section where Han Xiao's father once worked. Their first stop was the staff dormitory. Han Xiao searched the area but found nothing unusual. His quest clue clearly wasn't here. Shunbai told him to follow to the plague source but warned, if I say run, you run. No hesitation. Ahead, the air thickened with virus density beyond anything before. Han Xiao explained, that's the wastewater treatment plant. All factory runoff gathers there. Two massive, deep pools. I went once, just breathing made me dizzy. They entered the treatment building. Instantly, Shunbai ordered, wrap yourself in mental force. A voice echoed through the chamber. Children of the plague, servants of the virus, disciples of the faith. A dark figure emerged from the toxic mist. Shunbai lunged, switching into blade form, striking with full power. To his shock, the blade didn't even pierce. The A-rank boss's defense was monstrous. Then, instead of countering, the figure dropped to his knees in reverence. To our destined God, I offer the highest devotion. May divine fire rise and spread the plague's grace across the world. Han Xiao was stunned. Even Shunbai froze mid-motion. The figure spoke again. I kneel before you, the god destined to return. I, Pukashumi, will devote everything, my life and soul, to you. A scan revealed his stats. Level 71, 3rd tier saint. Even at Shunbai's previous life peak of 79, such beings were rare. And yet, Mengming's low-to-rank psychic sense had identified him clearly, proof he held no hostility. Still, one question lingered. Why did this man call in their destined god? The one who received the plague sigil at the very start of the trial. You must be our destined god. The high priest of the plague sacrificed his life to foretell your coming. Shunbai recalled an old rumor. Every high-tier talent carried a unique destiny. He realized this was his, the divine path of the plague god, far greater than Han Xiao's demon bloodline arc. He asked calmly, then what can you do for me? Pukashumi bowed low. I paid a great price to enter this trial early, only to serve you. To meet our destined god so soon, it's an honor beyond words. I can offer you a relic matching your strength, he continued. But due to interference from the cosmic will, I can't deliver all of them directly. Please, tell me what you seek. Shunbai asked, do you have any job scrolls? Of course, Pukashumi replied at once. An S-rank Plague Knight scroll and an S-rank Insect Master Scroll. Then, with reverence, he unveiled a rare treasure, an SS-rank Child of Calamity Scroll. Han Zhao's eyes went wide, but Shunbai remained unsatisfied. Do you have any 3S rank scrolls? Pukashumi hesitated. You may not realize, 3S rank professions are almost impossible this early. Even gods began as S or A before ascending. Shunbai's tone was firm. I only want a 3S rank scroll. Tears welled in Pukashumi's eyes. A 3S scroll. Then he shouted, trembling with excitement. You truly are our prophesied god. The revival of the plague order has begun. Shunbai frowned slightly. If not, I'll just take something else. Pukashumi quickly added, there is a way, a method to obtain a 3S scroll. The word possible made Chunbai frown in doubt. It's not guaranteed, Pukashumi clarified. You'll have to claim it yourself. I can open a special rift, he continued. A gateway to the greatest plague in Blue Star's history. Dashed toward the rift. Han Xiao stood there stunned, unable to process what had just happened. Moments later, Han Xiao was bragging in the chat. That boss-level NPC literally knelt to give White Emperor job scrolls. 2S rank, 1 SS? And he still wasn't satisfied. His post sent the entire chat into chaos. Then the NPC sacrificed himself to open a dungeon that drops 3S rank scrolls, he added. In a few short lines, every pioneer realized just how vast the gap between them and Chunbai truly was. Inside the dungeon, Chunbai's chest hourglass suddenly glowed bright. He wasn't sure what it resonated with, but the scene before him was something he hadn't expected. Before him stood an ancient Roman stone gate, Florence. Medieval Florence. The Renaissance-style buildings around him glimmered in the dim light, and Chunbai couldn't help but whisper, "So this is the city of art." But something felt off. The streets were completely empty. Not a single soul in sight. A faint cough echoed through a narrow alley. He turned and spotted a hooded figure slumped against the wall. The person noticed his approach and rasped weakly, "Stay back. I'm a sinner, cursed by God, infected with his punishment." Ignoring the warning, Chunbai extended his hand and drew the virus from her body. The system identified it instantly, Black Death virus. A new quest appeared, Plague Order Side mission unlocked. Yet he still didn't know what the seeds of plague were or how to collect them. The hooded girl suddenly realized her illness was gone. She dropped to her knees, eyes wide. "Thank you, messenger of the divine. I swear to follow and serve you." Chunbai removed his mask slowly. Yes, he didn't need followers. Faith could serve as both power and information. "Don't draw that cross again," he said calmly. "I'm not that God's messenger." "Then, whose messenger are you?" she asked timidly. "I am no messenger," he declared, voice echoing down the silent street. "I am a god of plague. Tell everyone, I can cleanse their sickness. Bring them to the Lord's square." The girl ran through the alleys, shouting the news. "The god of plague has descended. Everyone infected, come to the square. The god will cure your disease."